What's up, guys? Don't forget to smash that like button, drop a comment, hype up the video, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe and join the family. The story begins when several messages appear before the MC announcing the binding of the life simulator and confirming the success of the process. Confused, he observes the notifications and tries to understand what is happening, reflecting on the last 3 years and questioning how he got there without any cheat system, something common among transmigrators. The MC had transmigrated to that extraordinary world 3 years earlier, a world where games had become reality, with demonic beasts and monsters wandering freely, as well as secret realms, dungeons, equipment, and items appearing in practically infinite quantities, and where all people awakened to class upon turning 18 and evolved by defeating monsters inside dungeons. During that period, the MC awakened an extremely rare hidden class called Cultivator, causing great commotion in the capital and guaranteeing his direct admission to Kyoto Vocational University. However, his excitement soon gave way to frustration when he discovered that he simply could not level up. The years passed, and now, in his final year, he watched his classmates constantly evolve, advancing from bronze to silver, then gold, and even higher levels, while he remained stuck as a cultivator at the first level of artifact refinement. Even facing constant difficulties, he never gave up, and after exhausting training, he managed to reach the body refinement stage, achieving the strength of thousands of jin, something impressive at first glance, but still inferior in real combat to a level 30 bronze professional of the strength class. After years of frustration, the MC finally receives his cheat system and decides to start the simulation. Inside the dormitory, he activates the system with enthusiasm and resumes his routine, helping younger students face monsters as a support team member, obtaining various white-level equipment and support rewards after completing dungeons. Among the students, a young woman does not have money to pay and tries to compensate him in another way, leading the two to spend an intimate night together, after which the Mac tries to develop a closer relationship and discovers a technique called the art of Pong creation, believing he has found a revolutionary cultivation method. But even after a month of practice, he makes no progress and realizes that the techniques found online were frauds. With no alternatives, he begins to focus exclusively on physical strengthening, maintaining intense training while continuing to help beginner students level up, accumulating money and living fleeting relationships. However, the peaceful phase does not last long, because 6 months later, the student reaches the professional silver level and completely loses contact with him, making the MC realize that everything was nothing more than a transaction. With his pride wounded, he turns the disappointment into motivation, and after another 6 months of rigorous training, reaches the 7th level of body refinement. Although he already has the conditions to graduate, his reputation as a motivator spreads, and new groups of students begin to seek him constantly, allowing him to accumulate tens of millions in assets over 3 years, even thinking that continuing to fail might not be so bad since there would always be new students seeking his help. 5 years later, he ends up being expelled from the university, but with the help of Yu Pengzi, he opens a store specialized in professional equipment, quickly becoming rich and turning into a well-known merchant in the capital, until he receives the devastating news that his sister, Su Nian, had died, leaving him in shock and unable to understand how that happened so suddenly. 3 years later, another tragedy occurs with the death of his best friend, Yan, considered a prodigy at Kyoto Vocational University, intensifying the sense of crisis in the MC and leading him to cultivate with even more dedication, advancing after 1 year to the 9th level of body refinement. Shortly afterward, a sudden market change makes consumable item prices skyrocket, while equipment rapidly loses value, leading his store to bankruptcy and forcing him to retire to live a peaceful life. One day, while relaxing in the courtyard of his home, he looks at the sky and witnesses a terrifying scene when a colossal beast emerges among the clouds, completely obscuring the sunlight, opening its eyes and spreading absolute terror throughout the human world, while various powerful figures rise to confront it in a desperate battle that shakes heaven and earth, during which the MC is thrown far away, stunned and unable to understand what is happening, until the beast opens its mouth and in a single motion devours the entire great Zaya nation, leading the Mac to death at 36 years old. The simulation comes to an end, and the system informs that, as an initial free reward, he can choose between the spiritual root bearer talent, the 9th level of body refinement, or the corresponding cultivation, making the MC awaken abruptly and gasping, letting out a long sigh of relief upon realizing that the simulation had ended. The system notifies the MC to select the simulation reward. He reflects that within 15 years the world will reach its end, and since he has just acquired his cheat system, he believes that as long as he continues simulating, he will be able to find a way to break this barrier, choosing the spiritual root bearer talent. and energy begins to circulate around his body, making the MC perceive the sensation of possessing a spiritual root, something he never imagined experiencing, reflecting that being different from others could bring unexpected benefits. He also realizes that the simulator seems to be fueled by white-level equipment, concluding that those items no longer have any use for him, while the system notifies the detection and absorption of a sharp dagger, granting 5 energy points, followed by the absorption of the princess gauntlets, granting 8 additional points. At that moment, the dormitory door opens and Yu Pangzi enters, informing that 6 first-year students are waiting for him outside, highlighting that one of them is extremely beautiful. The MC replies that he understands and prepares to leave, knowing that they are seeking his help to clear the dungeon and level up, asking only that Pangzi save some food for him when he returns at night. Upon leaving, the MC establishes the rules, informing that each of them must pay 2,000 yuan for the next incursion and that all equipment and items obtained during the mission will belong to him. While in the distance, Wang Qingxuan, a first-year student, observes attentively. During the incursion into the 10-mile slope dungeon, a monster advances and the MC defeats it with a single powerful punch, causing the students to watch him with admiration and thank him, calling him incredible. Wang Qingxuan approaches and admits that she has a little money, asking if there is another form of payment, observing him attentively while the MC smiles and asks her to accompany him to a small dark room. Inside, he sits down, lightly taps the table, and says that he will teach her something, asking her to repeat the words prosperity, democracy, and civility, and Wang obediently repeats. The MC explains that for younger colleagues about to fall into the abyss, the main approach is spiritual salvation, stating that freedom and equality mean that they must never walk the path of illegal or criminal activities. During the following week, the MC begins to accept work frantically, continuing his incursions into the 10-mile slope, defeating beasts with ease and receiving constant praise from the students, who thank him while he politely replies for them to come back anytime. After 1 week, the MC celebrates having accumulated 200,000 great Asia coins, believing it to be enough, while the system notifies the consumption of 200 energy points, leaving 1,082 remaining with no simulations left, starting a new simulation. The system informs that white talents cost 100 energy points and green turtle level talents cost 1,000 energy points, performing a random draw after the payment of 100 points, leaving the remaining energy at 982. The system congratulates him for obtaining the White Talent Business Elite, which grants extraordinary commercial insight and greater chances of success in negotiations, leading the MC to reflect that, although the talent does not directly increase his strength, it will allow him to accumulate wealth during simulations, which is still advantageous. The system continues notifying that he begins recommending equipment and skills for new students who level up. And in the dormitory, using his new commercial insight, the MC begins planning investments, promoting cultivation techniques with offers such as buy one equipment and get another free, selling items for 998 coins, convincing several students to make purchases. New notifications inform that despite being about to graduate, still as a 6th-level body refinement student, the MC manages to profit 30 million in just 1 year through strategic purchase and resale of equipment, beginning to monopolize the second-hand item market on campus, and in 2 years, accumulating a fortune of hundreds of millions. Later, the system notifies that he founds a commercial organization called the Tarot Club and opens a store in Kyoto City. After 2 more years, the MC is expelled from the school, but the accelerated growth of his businesses draws the attention of various forces. One day, someone approaches him wielding a dagger, revealing herself as Wang Qingxuan. Surprised, the MC questions how that is possible, while Wang coldly responds that he must join the mysterious organization she is part of, otherwise she will be forced to eliminate him. The MC asks which organization she is talking about and states that she underestimated him, snapping his fingers to summon his subordinates, who immediately advance. Wang takes a combat stance and faces all of them alone, defeating them with ease, making the MC realize, surprised, that she awakened as a Grandmaster level professional. Outside the simulation, the MC analyzes the levels achieved and reflects that even a prodigy like Yu Pangzi would only be able to reach the Celestial Master level, while Wang Qingxuan had advanced from Bronze level to Grandmaster level in just 5 years, leading him to conclude that that mysterious organization must hide a gigantic secret. Inside the simulation, Wang states that he helped her and that she does not wish to eliminate him, closing her eyes, letting the dagger fall to the ground and kissing him. Later, sitting on the bed, the MC realizes that he had misunderstood everything and recalls that after that moment, he continued trying to obtain information about Wang only to discover that she had died, leaving him perplexed upon realizing that a Grandmaster-level specialist could lose her life so easily, concluding that an organization was behind it and swearing to discover who was responsible and take revenge. He then begins an investigation into the mysterious organization linked to Wang, but finds no clues, while at the same time, he continues searching for cultivation techniques, spending 2 more years without finding any new method, however significantly improving his body refinement until reaching great perfection. Worried about the future, the MC asks his sister, Su Neon, to promise not to enter any dungeon that year, leaving her confused as she asks the reason, receiving only a vague response while he sighs. The system then notifies that in the second year, Su Neon continued performing dungeon missions and lost her life, leaving the MC shocked and unable to understand how that was possible. Determined to discover the truth, he begins investigating the circumstances of his sister's death, but initially finds no relevant information until he discovers that she had lost her life in a dungeon called Demon Suppression Passage. He begins investigating this dungeon but again finds no answers, until he remembers that his best friend Yan had also died in that same year. Feeling that something was extremely wrong, the MC investigates the cause of his friend's death and discovers that Yan had also lost his life in the same dungeon, realizing that it was not an isolated case, since most of the classmates from that time also died in that place. The MC continues researching and questions what kind of dungeon that would be capable of causing the death of so many experienced professionals, realizing that everyone seemed to have unavoidable reasons to enter that place, concluding that he would need to personally explore the Demon Suppression Passage, deciding to continue the simulation. In this new cycle, trusting in his commercial insight, the MC quickly sells large quantities of low-level equipment and begins acquiring enormous stocks of recovery potions, becoming a magnate in the low-level professional market in Kyoto, but without lowering his guard because he knew that a catastrophe capable of sweeping the entire continent would occur in 4 years. He then begins preparing for this disaster, planning to use his wealth and influence to warn important people, believing that, at worst, they could only try to survive. Determined, he begins selling a large portion of his assets and starts acquiring companies overseas, moving 3 years later to the United States together with his parents and billions in funds. He observes that the United States is also a power filled with high-level professionals, located tens of thousands of kilometers away, and that the professions in that country are very different from those in his homeland, including characteristic classes such as vampires, werewolves, and cowboys. After another year, the year of the giant beast attack finally arrives, and the MC harbors a strong desire to survive the disaster by living in the United States. On the day of the attack, a colossal demon appears in the American skies, completely obscuring the sky while countless professionals capable of flying advance to confront it, only to walk toward their own destruction. Faced with that scene, the MC begins to suspect that perhaps there was more than one monster attacking the world at the same time. The demon then releases an endless curse, resulting in the death of all humans in the United States, leading the MC to lose his life at 36 years old and ending the simulation. The system informs that he can choose one of the available rewards, being the White Talent Business Elite for the cost of 1,000 energy points, or the Body Refinement Cultivation at Great Perfection for the cost of 500 energy points, while the notification confirms that the Mick chooses to bring back the Body Refinement Cultivation at Great Perfection, consuming 500 energy points. Upon feeling the increase of power in his body, the MC concludes that his current strength probably already rivals that of professionals newly promoted to the silver level, reflecting that although the business elite talent could generate enormous wealth within simulations, it would not offer immediate advantages in the real world, while the solid body refinement cultivation would allow him to obtain more valuable equipment, converting them into energy to perform even more powerful simulations in the future. The system displays the available skills and equipment, including the green crimson plasma spear, the green spiked braided armor, and the blue cloud boots. The MC observes the information and begins to reflect on whether the catastrophe predicted to happen in 15 years is truly inevitable, questioning whether human elites already knew about this threat in the past and chose to hide the information to avoid general panic. Due to the unique nature of his profession, the MC's status panel is different from that of other professionals who possess traditional levels, while he possesses cultivation, allowing only the learning of skills related to cultivators, which already makes him stronger than ordinary silver-level professionals, but still very far from the power necessary to survive future threats, leading him to decide to continue strengthening himself. 1 week later, the MC accumulates 400,000 Great Exia coins and believes the amount is sufficient to perform another simulation, while the system shows energy consumption, remaining energy, and begins a new simulation. He decides to draw white talents and the system congratulates him for obtaining the white talent called Immortal, making the MC reflect that, although the ability appears simple at first glance, it may possess significant hidden value, imagining that, if used correctly, it could help him obtain important information about who killed him in the future, immediately starting the simulation. Thanks to the increase in his strength, the MC spends 1 year helping younger students level up, accumulating 20 million in earnings, while also continuing to support Wang Qingxuan, constantly helping her between one mission and another and encouraging her growth. At a certain moment, Wang reveals that she received an invitation from a mysterious organization, leaving the MC surprised, leading him to hug her and beg her not to accept the invitation. Later, while remembering that scene, the MC wonders whether she ended up joining that organization or if she was taken against her own will. After some time, he meets Wang again after a long period of disappearance, appearing visibly relieved and asking where she had been and if she was well, while Wang hesitates to respond, and the MC decides to respect her silence, stating that they do not need to talk about it if she does not want to. In the present of the simulation, the MC notices something on his bed and discovers it to be Changchun Gong, confirming the existence of a real cultivation technique, which rekindles his hopes, although he realizes that the manual is incomplete, containing only half of the volume. Determined, he begins cultivating day and night, but after 1 month realizes that his cultivation remains stuck at the first level of qi refinement, concluding that he needs to find a way to break this barrier. Refusing to give up, he divides his time between managing business and studying the cultivation technique, until he realizes that the real problem is the lack of spiritual energy, since he possesses a spiritual root and the proper technique, but there is not enough energy in that environment to allow advancement. Concluding that he no longer has time to solve this problem in that life, he decides to save his sister and Yu Pengzi. The MC returns to his hometown in the countryside and meets his sister Su Nian shortly after her graduation from university, spending a few peaceful and happy days beside her, until representatives of an official department arrive inviting Su Nian to participate in the exploration of the dungeon known as Demon Suppression Passage. The MC immediately refuses, stating that he forbade her from accepting that mission, while Su Nian tries to argue, but he insists that, as her brother, she must listen to him. At that moment, the MC realizes, surprised, that she has already reached Grandmaster level. Shortly afterward, Su Nian appears ready to depart with her luggage, reassuring her brother by stating that she is already a Grandmaster and that the Demon Suppression Passage is a mandatory dungeon for specialists of that level, promising to return within at most 1 month and asking him to save some snacks for her. 1 month later, the MC receives the news of his sister's death. Desperate, he tries to persuade Yu Pengzi to avoid dangerous missions, but cannot convince him. Meanwhile, the recovery potion market remains unstable, allowing the MC to accumulate another fortune. But knowing that only 4 years remain before the global catastrophe, he sells all his belongings and completely dedicates his resources and energy to the search for spiritual energy. The MC spends an entire year in the search without finding any result until, one day, a mysterious figure approaches him. The MC questions who he is, and the stranger responds coldly, asking why he should converse with ants about to be crushed, leaving the MC alarmed. The mysterious man suddenly attempts to attack him, but the MC manages to dodge narrowly, realizing that the opponent's speed is terrifying, and estimating that he possesses at least gold-level strength, believing that he might still have some chance against an enemy of that level. The mysterious man observes with surprise, but is soon thrown far away, raising a curtain of dust, making the MC question whether the fight had ended. However, the opponent reappears behind him instantly, blocking all escape routes, calmly asking if the MC is a Grandmaster or above, then lamenting that regardless of the answer, it would make no difference. The mysterious man advances and twists the MC's neck, ending his life instantly, but the immortal talent is activated and the MC revives, declaring that he wants to see how the opponent intends to eliminate him again. The mysterious man removes something from his belongings, and the MC realizes that he took the Changchun Gong manual that Wang had given him, leading him to suspect that the enemy is part of the same mysterious organization. The attacker begins brutally trampling him, tearing out his eyes and completely destroying his body, causing the immortal talent to finally fail and ending the simulation. Outside the simulation, the MC becomes furious and swears that sooner or later he will crush that enemy, realizing that he did not even manage to survive until the end of the world and ended up being killed by an unknown figure. The system presents the available rewards, including half of the Changchun Gong manual, a common wood attribute cultivation technique capable of prolonging life and accelerating the absorption of spiritual energy at the cost of 3,000 energy points. The MC calculates that By converting hundreds of thousands of white equipment into energy, he could acquire the technique, but concludes that if he kept the immortal talent, he could discover what would happen after the apocalypse and identify the true cause of the catastrophe, deciding to bring back the immortal talent at the cost of 1,000 energy points, leaving 782 points remaining, convincing himself that he needs to earn money quickly to recover the Changchun Gong manual in future simulations. Determined, the MC returns to work, taking advantage of the large number of younger students seeking his help, meeting them in front of the dungeon while establishing the rules, receiving excited responses from the female students, who also praise his appearance. He calculates that white equipment can be converted on average into 5 energy points, while each item costs between 1,000 and 2,000 yuan, making the business extremely profitable. Inside the dungeon, the MC faces several beasts simultaneously and defeats them with ease, receiving constant praise from the students, who show admiration and closeness, allowing him to quickly accumulate resources. In just 1 week, he obtains 700,000 Great Xia coins and about 600 pieces of white equipment, exceeding expectations. Motivated, the MC declares that, for the sake of Great Xia, his friends, and family, he must continue walking the path of cultivation. The system then congratulates him for obtaining the white talent, calm and serenity, allowing him to maintain a tranquil appearance regardless of internal emotional chaos. During the following year, the MC continues taking younger students to dungeons daily, observing their attractive forms and feeling personal satisfaction, but maintaining a calm and gentlemanly external posture. Remembering the events of the previous simulation, he decides not to interfere directly in Wang Qingxuan's life and deliberately keeps his distance. However, as before, Wang receives the invitation from the mysterious organization and visits him only to say goodbye. The MC tries to convince her not to go, but fails. And that night, the two spend intimate moments together before Wang leaves the school the next day. 1 year later, the MC cannot graduate due to lack of resources, abandoning the school and founding the Tarot Club again while continuing to trade used equipment, silently waiting for Wang's return. One day, Wang returns, and after they spend the night together, she once again leaves the Changchun Gong manual behind, rekindling the MC's hopes, although he still cannot cultivate due to lack of spiritual energy. In the same year, he fails again to prevent his sister from participating in the exploration of the demon suppression passage and receives news of her death 1 month later. 1 year later, Yu Pangzi also loses his life. Facing these losses, the MC decides to invest all his capital in the potion industry, planning to accumulate enough fortune to emigrate to the United States and escape the mysterious assassin while desperately searching for information about spiritual energy. In a phone call, he receives information that in Jinling City, Jiangnan Province, there is a Grand Master-level specialist who possesses a rare treasure known as a spiritual stone. Excited, the MC decides to travel immediately to negotiate, personally driving and reflecting on the opportunity, believing that that item could completely transform his cultivation. The specialist agrees to meet him, and the MC prepares for the negotiation. But on the eve of the deal, the mysterious man reappears, attacking him again, tearing out his eyes and ending his life at 33 years old, with the immortal talent failing once again. Outside the simulation, the MC reacts with extreme irritation, while the system informs that the simulation has ended and presents the available rewards, including the Calm and Serenity talent and half of the Changchun Gong manual as redemption options. The MC says that he chooses Changchun Gong, and the system notifies that he chose to bring back half of the Changchun Gong from the simulation, consuming 3,000 energy points, leaving 182 energy points remaining. The cultivation technique is described as the protective technique of the Changchun sect of the Qingyun realm, possessing a total of 6 layers and capable of being cultivated up to the Return to Void realm. However, because it is only a partial remnant, it can only be cultivated up to the core formation realm. The MC analyzes that the first layer, All Things Flourish, involves sleeping late and waking early, walking widely through the courtyard to revitalize the spirit, while the second layer, the intersection of heaven and earth, seems much more reliable than the 3 years to cultivate life after completion that he had previously acquired. The MC closes his eyes while an energy moves around his body and concludes that this technique truly has the effect of prolonging life and preserving youth, lamenting that the world is destined to end in 15 years, making life extension useless at that moment. With the cultivation technique and the clue about the spiritual stone, he believes that the next simulation will probably reveal this spiritual stone and that, by obtaining it, he will be able to officially begin the path of cultivation. However, he realizes that he does not know the true value of the spiritual stone, nor how many energy points it will cost, concluding that before the next simulation, he needs to save enough energy, since with only 80,000 in his account, he could exchange at most 4,000 energy points, which might not be enough to obtain it. Pangzi appears saying that old Liu is looking for him, and the MC asks if he can be more gentle, commenting that Pangzi will end up breaking the door sooner or later, while Pangzi states that he will certainly notify him next time. The MC says that it is good that he is there and asks to borrow money quickly. Pangzi replies that recently, he has little money and does not have much cash, but the MC asks him to say how much he can lend. Then Pangzi states that only 5 million remain and asks him to use it wisely, saying that the password is his birth date. The MC calls him again, and Pangzi replies that there is no need for so much politeness, stating that 5 million means nothing to him, and asking who said he was not his brother. Then the MC reveals that he actually wanted to ask what his birthday date was, irritating Pangzi, who demands the money back while the MC says he was joking and that he will first meet Lu. In another place, the MC meets Lu, who asks how his cultivation is progressing and if his level increased. The MC replies that it did not and that he continues the same as always, but states that he will dedicate himself to the maximum to reach silver level soon. Liu comments that the academy has approval and employability indexes based on students' cultivation level, making the MC realize the topic and directly question what he means. Then Liu suggests that he voluntarily withdraw from the school to preserve both his reputation and the institution's, offering 500,000 great Xia coins and stating that he can also arrange a job as a security guard in his condominium, saying that with his strength, the position would be guaranteed. The MC thinks that Liu did not even pay the 3 million promised when he enrolled, and now humiliates him by offering a doorman job, replying that he appreciates the concern, but does not intend to abandon his studies, and stating that that environment is still suitable for his development. Liu retorts that he is no longer the genius he was 3 years ago, and that he is harming the reputation of Kyoto Vocational University. Then the MC states that he understands and that he needs to strive even harder to meet the school's demands, asking if Liu believes that 500,000 would be enough to dismiss him and mentioning that his brother gave him 5 million, leaving Liu irritated. In another place, the MC receives a notification on his phone, informing that there are more than 4,000 items awaiting shipment and that the ordered equipment is about to be sent, concluding that he will be able to proceed with the next simulation when the items arrive. 1 week later, the MC states that this time he needs to recover the spiritual stone and begins the simulation. The system congratulates him for obtaining the white talent called "He became bald but not stronger," describing that he ejaculates prematurely, that his hair falls more easily than that of other people of the same age, but that the bald appearance resembles that of an important monk in a temple, increasing the probability of gaining trust and favor from others. The MC states that his hair is still there and that he is not bald, but soon notices the strands falling and questions what kind of talent that is, then immediately begins searching for something to treat the hair loss. The system notifies that the hair loss affects the MC's appearance and makes him lose many opportunities for deep interaction with younger female classmates at school. The MC observes himself in the mirror and concludes that it is better to shave everything. After becoming completely bald, he begins to prefer crushing monsters in dungeons with his own fists and, thanks to his powerful physique, often eliminates enemies with a single blow. Unexpectedly, the bald appearance makes him more approachable, allowing him to accumulate 30 million as a promoter in just 1 year. Fortunately, Wang does not show antipathy toward him and one day still brings half of the Changchun Gong. The MC states that he does not need the technique and asks her to help him find the next part. Just like before, Wang leaves the school again and, to avoid interfering in the search for the Changchun Gong, he accepts her decision but begins to suspect that the simulator knows his thoughts. The MC wonders whether his ideas in the real world might be transmitted directly into the simulation and realizes that the fates of Wang, his sister, and Pangzi remain exactly the same as in the previous life. He decides to observe the future and, after the deaths of Nian and Pangzi, builds a great fortune in the business world thanks to his own kindness and generosity. At the same time, he uses the influence of the Tarot Club to search for clues about the spiritual stone. The MC orders that any information about the spiritual stone be reported immediately. A secretary approaches and informs that a Grandmaster-level specialist in Jinling City possesses a precious item called a spiritual stone. The MC becomes excited, saying that he finally waited for this day. The MC departs determined, stating that this time, he did not accept the Changchun Gong from Wang, and that the mysterious person should not interfere, believing that the spiritual stone will be the key to his cultivation. and that he will finally be able to negotiate with the Grandmaster without problems. A voice asks him to accept tea while the host approaches. The MC takes the tea and thanks him until someone appears. It is Jin Konshu, who comments that he seems to possess vast knowledge about Buddhism. The MC replies that he knows only a little. 7 days later, the system notifies that the talent was activated and that people who believe in Buddhism tend to have a good impression of him, allowing the two to become close friends. The MC becomes excited upon realizing how the talent works. Jin reveals that she possesses 3 spiritual stones whose market price is 3. The MC states that he will buy all of them. Kanzu, considering the friendship, sells the stones for 30 million, and the MC thanks her. Afterward, the MC begins absorbing spiritual energy and, upon opening his eyes, realizes that half a spiritual stone is already enough to help him advance to the second level of Qi refinement. Satisfied, he stores the remaining 2.5 stones to evolve gradually, believing that with the spiritual root, spiritual stones, and cultivation technique, once the simulation ends, he will be able to officially begin the path of cultivation. Shortly afterward, Jin returns bringing a tray of food and comments that he has been in seclusion for 3 days, asking whether he wishes to eat something. The MC replies that he does and asks about the origin of the spiritual stones. Konsue explains that she obtained them in a dungeon called Qingyun Spiritual Field, and that besides the stones, she also received a bag of spiritual rice that she is consuming at that moment. The MC realizes that there are dungeons focused on cultivation and concludes that he can obtain more spiritual stones by exploring those places, asking where the dungeon is located. Jin explains that it was a limited-time dungeon found accidentally in the western region of Jinling, appearing at the beginning of November 2023 and remaining open for only 7 days. The MC notices the date and states that it is still October 7, 2023, concluding that the spiritual field has not appeared yet and that he still has a chance to enter. Konsue mentions that an old man inside the dungeon said that she did not have talent for cultivation, and that if she had, she would have received more opportunities. The MC reflects that he himself possesses talent and concludes that the spiritual stones are only secondary rewards, while the true opportunity lies in the dungeon itself, deciding to continue monitoring the situation because the gains are enormous. With the spiritual stones, the MC's cultivation advances daily and his technique becomes increasingly refined. While enjoying this progress, Jin appears to say goodbye, and the MC asks whether she is departing for the demon suppression passage. Konsue replies that the pressure on the front line is increasing, and that, as a Grandmaster level specialist, she needs to leave. The MC questions why all his friends and family end up going to the demon suppression passage and demands to know what that place truly is. Jin states that there is no problem telling him. The system notifies that the talent was activated and that the clumsy, bald appearance significantly increases her sympathy toward him. Konsue explains that the demon suppression passage is humanity's lifeline because the human race faces extremely powerful enemies, and the current situation in that place is not optimistic at all. The MC asks what enemies those are, but Jin replies that she cannot reveal anything further. She states that she will entrust the management of the Tarot Club to someone else, and allows him to continue living there, saying that they will meet again. 1 month later, the MC attends Jin's funeral. He shows neither joy nor sadness, only the desire to strengthen himself as much as possible. Next, the MC calls to ask what his current net worth is and receives the answer that he possesses about 50 billion. The MC orders everything to be sold. The secretary confirms whether it is truly everything, and the MC replies that he wants to convert the entire amount into body-strengthening items. The system notifies that he left the small house built by Jin and returned to his hometown. The MC plans to use the acquired items to advance to the second level of body refinement, the bone-forging realm. 3 years pass and his body refinement continues evolving, but he realizes that he still cannot completely break through into the bone-forging realm. So he questions whether the day has finally arrived. A colossal monster opens its mouth. The MC releases all his power and declares that sooner or later he will devour it. A deafening roar echoes. The MC activates the immortal talent and looks around, surprised to realize that he is inside the belly of a giant beast. He realizes that the environment is formed by corrosive stomach acid and shouts for everyone to escape. Several people are burned alive while others beg for help. The MC's eyes are dissolved and assimilated by the creature, and the immortal talent fails. The MC reflects that being slowly corroded inside a giant beast is even more terrifying than dying instantly. The system informs that he can choose among the rewards. The talent he became bald but not stronger, half a step into the bone-forging realm for 500 energy points, or 2.5 spiritual stones for 2,500 energy points. The MC decides to bring back the spiritual stones and comments that the price was unexpectedly low, estimating that each spiritual stone is worth about 1,000 energy points. The system notifies that it detected a low-quality spiritual stone and recycles it for 100 energy points. The MC reacts irritably, stating that this is robbery and complaining that he bought it for 1,000 and recycled it for 100, saying that not even second-hand merchants profit that much from price differences. Shortly afterward, the MC calculates that the stone was reduced to 1/20th and concludes that it will still be enough to sustain his cultivation for about half a month. As for the other two stones, he decides not to use them immediately because he wants to test them to verify a hypothesis. He determines that from now on, he needs to complete dungeons, earn money, perform more simulations, and accumulate spiritual stones before the spiritual field appears. 1 week later, the MC, completely exhausted, states that he has nothing left but managed to earn more than 500,000, an amount sufficient to start another simulation. He begins the simulation questioning whether his hypothesis about the spiritual stones is correct. The system notifies that the simulation started and grants the white talent Fitness Enthusiast, which increases talent for physical training. The MC wonders whether this talent helps sculpt the body and decides to cultivate immediately, since he possesses half a spiritual stone. During the following month, he spends his days earning money accompanying female students while absorbing spiritual energy in his free time. His cultivation advances rapidly until reaching the 4th level of Chi refinement. The spiritual field dungeon is about to open. The MC remembers that Jin said the dungeon was located in a park west of the city gate and begins searching for it, but suspects that he might not be able to find it alone and decides to look for Kongsu. Then, someone approaches asking for passage. The MC turns around and realizes that it is Jin. He thinks that, after 7 years, she truly distanced herself, concludes that the dungeon can probably only be found by Kongsu, and decides to follow her discreetly, asking where she is going since he clearly saw her walking in that direction. Someone approaches the MC from behind. It is Jin who presses a sword against his neck and asks why he is following her. The MC replies that he saw her on the school honor list. Kongsue asks if he is a student at Kyoto Vocational University. The MC confirms and says that for a long time he has had a doubt about Buddhism that he has never been able to resolve. He states that he never imagined meeting her there and asks if that would be what Buddhism calls predestined affinity across 3 lives. Jin responds that if he wants to ask a question, he can ask it. Then the MC questions whether, for a senior student, the egg or the chicken came first. Konsue thinks that that freshman truly understands Buddhism since he started with the main one among the 10 most difficult questions of the doctrine. She says that they can discuss it calmly during the journey, noting that, judging by his appearance, he is also heading to Jinling City. The MC asks if that means he can travel with her, and Jin confirms. Afterward, they arrive at a cliff. The MC asks if that is the Qingyun Spiritual Field, a limited-time dungeon. He comments that the spiritual energy at the place is extremely dense, and that someone who lives there must certainly be a cultivator. He also notices a straw house ahead. Kongshui states that his cultivation level is very low, but that she will guarantee safety while she knocks on the door. Jin calls out asking if anyone is there. The door opens and an old man appears, saying that that is a sacred realm for immortals and that only those with deep destiny can enter. He states that both of them are very lucky. The MC comments that he is very kind to say that, and Kongsu warns him not to be careless. The old man explains that there are 2 spiritual fields that need to be managed. If the spiritual grains grow well under their care, he will grant a fortuitous encounter as a reward. Jin asks how to care for the spiritual grains, while the MC questions whether that only involves using a hoe or if there are other tasks. The old man wishes them a peaceful mission and states that he will return in 7 days to inspect the results. Kongsu thinks that she is in trouble since she has never seen spiritual grains before and does not know how to handle them. The MC advises that before entering the rice field, it is better to roll up their pant legs so they do not dirty their clothes. He comments that his parents were farmers and that he worked in the fields since childhood. Jin asks him to help and promises to reward him generously afterward. The MC replies that it is nothing and says that she is very kind. Under the MC's care, the spiritual grains grow extraordinarily, and Jin's attitude changes from distrust to friendship. While tending the fields, the MC discovers that spiritual energy accelerates the growth of crops, and that the wood attribute cultivation technique, Changchun Gong, is extremely effective for cultivating spiritual plants. He concludes that the spiritual energy in the place is abundant and decides to cultivate diligently while injecting as much spiritual energy as possible into the crops. As the days pass, the plants grow rapidly. The MC realizes that it was not in vain that he dedicated himself to cultivation until reaching the 5th level of Chi refinement, feeling safer. Then the old man returns, saying that 7 days have passed and that he wishes to check the results. After observing, he praises the work done and informs that the spiritual field managed by Jin also had good results. Then he delivers the reward and Jin thanks him. The MC observes and realizes that she received 10 spiritual stones and a small sack of spiritual rice. He concludes that his help improved her reward and that this may yield even more spiritual stones in simulations. Suddenly, Kongshui disappears. The old man tells him not to worry and explains that he only sent her outside the dungeon. Then he asks the MC to place his hand on a circle that emits energy. The MC obeys. The old man analyzes and states that he possesses a mixed 5-element spiritual root. Although he has talent for cultivation, he has no hope of longevity. The MC asks to be accepted as a disciple. The old man responds that even if he accepted, with his current aptitude it would be useless. The MC asks what type of aptitude would be necessary to become his disciple. The old man answers that, at minimum, a dual spiritual root. The MC reflects that his spiritual root is only a white talent and that it is normal for his aptitude to be low. He concludes that, to take advantage of that opportunity, he will need to obtain a green talent spiritual root. The old man then gives 30 spiritual stones and 30 portions of spiritual rice, advising him to cultivate diligently and never relax, just because he possesses mediocre aptitude. The MC thanks him while watching the old man leave. The simulation continues. 2 years later, Neon was recruited and lost her life. 3 years later, Yan was forcibly recruited, and the system notifies that the MC was powerless in the face of the situation. During market fluctuations 1 year later, he made a fortune and accumulated assets exceeding 10 billion. Later, he encountered Jin Kongshui. The MC states that he wants to buy the spiritual stones that she possesses, declaring that money is not a problem and that she can set any price she wants. Jin responds that she is out of money and that she has no means, leaving the MC shocked. The two end up having a moment of closeness. 1 month later, Kongshui states that if it is that way, she will have no regrets. Jin is forcibly recruited, and news of her death arrives 1 month later. Another 4 years pass, and the colossal beast that obscures the sky reappears. The MC loses his life at 36 years old. The system notifies that the simulation ended and asks him to choose the reward. The MC reflects that, this time, he did not eat spiritual rice and therefore did not manage to access the bone-forging realm. He concludes that he will need to stock spiritual rice in the future. First, he needs to get his hands on the spiritual stones, but they cost 40,000 points. With all the money he possesses, he can only exchange for 2,000 energy points, still lacking almost half. He decides to borrow money from his brother and asks if the fatty can hear him. Yan responds that he can, saying that he was about to enter a dungeon and that he startled him, asking what he needs. The MC replies that he has been short on money lately and asks if he can lend a little. Yan asks how much he needs, and the MC replies that he needs 100 million. Yan shouts on the phone asking if he treats him like an ATM and questioning why he does not just dream of that amount, stating that he can lend at most 50 million, not a cent more. Shortly afterward, the MC receives a notification informing that he received 100 million. He calculates that adding the 5 million that the fatty had lent before, he now possesses 55 million and decides to order 50,000 pieces of white equipment. He remembers that the spiritual field will open the following month, which means that he still has 4 simulation opportunities. He concludes that he needs to take advantage of this opportunity to accumulate spiritual stones and spiritual rice, because only then will he have a chance to be accepted as a disciple by the elder. 1 week later, the MC says that the time has come to test whether his luck is good or bad and tries to draw a green talent. The system congratulates him for obtaining a green talent. The MC observes the talent and questions why, being a cultivator, he would want to live a long life and asks whether that is premature completion. The simulation ends, and the MC comments that this time, he managed to obtain more than 10 spiritual stones. 1 week later, the MC begs the system to allow him to draw a green talent spiritual root. The system congratulates him for obtaining the green talent sword Dao Genius. The MC states that he is not a swordsman and questions the meaning of preparing a feast of meat for a monk. The simulation ends again. The MC decides that this time he will choose to accumulate spiritual rice and ask for the blessings of the heavens to favor him with a green-grade spiritual root. The system congratulates him for obtaining the green talent face like Guoxi. The MC asks what kind of useless talent that is, questioning whether he is going to become a star and what the use of being handsome is. The system explains that the face like Guoxi talent grants an extraordinary and otherworldly appearance, significantly increasing attraction power over the opposite sex, stating that even the system itself cannot resist. The MC finds the comment strange and questions the system's serious posture. The simulation begins. The MC observes his appearance and wonders whether he is still himself, commenting that he is extremely handsome. During a dungeon incursion, a beast with a powerful aura appears. The MC draws the group's attention and warns them that under no circumstances should they allow the demonic beast's eyes to shine upon them, stating that if that happens, they must blind it immediately. A woman comments that the demonic beast's eyes are very beautiful, and shortly afterward corrects herself by saying that his eyes are very beautiful. The MC tells her to wake up, stating that that is a dungeon incursion and not a romantic encounter, remembering that that is already the 278th time that someone has observed him that way. The MC takes a mirror and wonders whether he is truly that handsome. Later, in another place, several girls gather, asking the MC to take them to the dungeon. The MC runs away, saying that he has other things to do and that he cannot accompany them. Upon entering the dormitory, he comments that it is not easy to be handsome nowadays and decides that it is better not to go out for a while, focusing on cultivating and studying in the dormitory. New Era, December 18th, 2023. On that day, the MC travels to Jinling City as planned and meets Jin. The simulation continues. Kong Jue says that the encounter is the work of destiny and asks what he thinks about having a drink together. The MC replies that if he had known it would be so easy to start a conversation, he would not have bothered memorizing so many Buddhist riddles. The elder observes the MC and comments that his expression is truly remarkable. The system notifies that the MC's appearance moved the elder. Initially, he wanted to accept him as a disciple, but due to his extremely low aptitude, he can only grant him some additional spiritual stones, expressing the wish that such incomparable beauty remains in the world for a little longer. The MC comments that a world that values appearance so much is truly hopeless. The system notifies that he must choose one of the simulation rewards, the face-like Guoxi talent or 105 spiritual stones. The MC comments that the system, with that serious posture, seems to have been captivated by his appearance and decided to grant him the opportunity to possess the face like Guoxi. The MC states that gaining a green talent for free is not bad at all and concludes that with that talent, he will certainly be able to obtain a dual spiritual root next time. He decides that this time he will prioritize accumulating spiritual stones. 1 week later, the unique talent face like Guoxi is used. The MC feels his confidence increase and realizes that his presence has become extremely attractive. He then asks the system to allow him to draw a green talent spiritual root, questioning whether the system truly wants him to fail on the path toward immortality. The protagonist blows a kiss to the system and asks it to draw a green talent, and the system congratulates him for obtaining a green talent. A dual wood spirit root, being a dual root of fire and wood, a green talent whose cultivation aptitude far surpasses that of ordinary people. He is no longer a low-grade mixed 5-element spiritual root, but instead a dual wood and fire spiritual root, capable of cultivating dual attribute techniques of both wood and fire. Su comments that he has finally reached the green-grade dual wood and fire spirit root and begins the simulation. It takes Xing only 1 day to absorb a spirit stone, confirming that cultivation truly depends on talent. After 1 week refining his cultivation to the 5th level of Qi refinement, his internal spiritual energy becomes much more abundant. By coincidence, the protagonist meets Jin again and receives with her another mission from the elder as planned. After the mission ends, Su is left behind alone, and the elder says his aptitude is not bad, and that he has the potential to walk the path of cultivation. He explains that the wood attribute is very suitable for nurturing spiritual fields, and that the fire attribute offers the opportunity to follow alchemy. Xing suggests accepting him as a vulnerable disciple, but the elder replies that he started cultivating too late and missed the ideal age. The protagonist indirectly asks what realm he would be in if he had cultivated normally from the beginning, and the elder answers that he would at least be in the nascent sun stage. Su comments that to be accepted as a disciple, he would need to reach the nascent soul stage before the dungeon armor in the Qingyun spiritual field. Xing explains that the Venerable said it is necessary to inject spiritual energy into the Jade Blade to see its contents, since it is a new cultivation technique, reinforcing that before the apocalypse it is necessary to cultivate diligently. Over 6 years, he gains some knowledge of the divine farmer spirit cultivation art, learns methods of cultivating spiritual grains, and harvests 1,000 units of low-grade spiritual rice. After consuming this spiritual rice, his body refinement cultivation successfully reaches the bone-forging realm. The protagonist explains that this was the spiritual rice he cultivated, and that he wants to trade it for the 20 spirit stones Jin possesses. Jin smiles and says she will count on him during the next month. Su awakens and finds the darkened sky strange, noticing a monster ahead, and Xing says it is happening again. The system displays the rewards available for selection, and Xing asks whether it is possible to buy insights, since that cultivation technique requires 1 billion energy points and is extremely powerful. The protagonist comments that the cultivation technique can be requested from the ancient immortal, and that this opportunity to obtain a dual spirit root will not repeat. The system notifies that it detected he possessed a white talent spiritual root of the same type, and that the dual wood and fire spirit root talent would replace it. Sue questions the term overwritten and concludes that fortunately the result turned out even better. Only one last simulation remains before the dungeon opens, with the goal of reaching the golden core phase. 1 week later, Xing realizes the simulation happens on the same day the dungeon opens, and that it is only possible to simulate from the airplane. The system starts the simulation and congratulates him again for obtaining the White Talent Resolute Face, a talent that makes him appear to others as a fair and trustworthy person, and makes it easier to gain people's trust. After landing, he looks for Jin as usual and activates the Resolute Face. Jin thinks that the first-year student is the first one she meets and finds it strange how trustworthy he seems. She says the meeting feels like fate and asks if he wants to accompany her. The system notifies that the Elder's mission was successfully completed. The Elder asks if he truly wants only 1,000 Spirit Stones and does not wish to become his disciple. He answers yes, only as vulnerable. The Elder says it does not matter since his cultivation level is still not sufficient to be his disciple anyway, and he will not force anything since he does not recognize the value of opportunities. After obtaining the 1,000 Spirit Stones, Su finds a place with good feng shui and cultivates day and night. During this period, the people around him die one after another. After an unknown time, the 1,000 Spirit Stones are exhausted. Xing finally emerges from seclusion, releases his power, and judges that he is at the 9th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm. He realizes he is still a little short of reaching the Golden Core, but the Spirit Stones are already gone. The system notifies that the simulation has come to an end, and Su notices something different when the system informs him that he can choose one of the following rewards. The White Talent Resolute Face costs 1,000 energy points, or the Cultivation reward costs 9,800 energy points. Xing comments that in the simulation, he only managed to reach the 9th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, reflecting that he did not advance further due to the lack of Spirit Stones, but that the spiritual field itself has abundant spiritual energy. This makes him excited because from that moment on, everything is reality and no longer a simulation. It is also the first time he sees Kong Sui in real life, and he concludes that it is fine not to panic since he is someone who memorized the 10 great Buddhist riddles. Then Jin approaches, and Su comments that now he can believe that at that time, she was already 30 years old. He says she is a senior student, and that he saw her in the school experts ranking. Kong Sui confirms it. The protagonist says the meeting is fate and asks if she is also going to Jinling City, and Jin answers that she is in a hurry. The protagonist again says the meeting is fate and asks if she is heading to Jinling City, and Jin repeats that she is in a hurry. Su thinks that he almost forgot that at the moment he has no active talent and that to her he is only a stranger. He concludes that he needs to use that trick and deliberately drops the books on the ground until Kong Sui looks at them in surprise. Xing comments that all of that came from an old bookstore he carefully searched. Jin asks if he studies Buddhism, and the protagonist answers that it is only a hobby and does not compare to her experience. Kong Sui asks if he knows that she likes Buddhism, and he replies that he read an article about it in the library. Jin says again that the meeting is fate, since both are going to Jinling City. Su thinks that for now they only need to wait for the dungeon to be discovered. Kong Sui mentions that he once entered a discussion about whether Sakyamuni was or was not an illegitimate child. Xing says he simply could not stand it and at the same time realizes the dungeon should be discovered soon, pointing to a light ahead. Jin explains that it is a time-limited dungeon. The protagonist smiles and thinks that they are finally entering a real dungeon and decides that this time he must successfully become a disciple. Kong Sui warns that temporary dungeons are usually dangerous and that he has not yet graduated, so he should not enter now. Su answers that she is by his side and he will not let anything happen. Jin wonders if he trusts her that much and says that it is natural. She states that regardless of what happens later, he must not leave her side. She also wonders whether that place is the Qingyun spiritual field. Xing reflects that experiencing it personally is completely different from simulations, feels the dense spiritual energy, and concludes that cultivating there will certainly allow breakthroughs. Kong Sui warns them not to lower their guard, explaining that many dungeons look beautiful and green, but hide countless dangers. The protagonist comments that there is a straw hut there and asks if they can take a look. Someone calls out to them and an old man asks how they found his secluded residence. Jin explains that by chance they saw a 7-colored entrance. The old man says it seems both are very fortunate since fate brought them together and asks if they would accept a great opportunity. Kongjue thanks him. The elder explains that he has been busy cultivating and rarely takes care of his spiritual field and asks if the two can help him. Xing says there is no problem and that the elder is very kind, and in the end he is only asking them to farm the land, although it is a pity that all this is inside a temporary dungeon. Jin asks if he really knows how to farm, and the protagonist says, of course, explaining that his hometown is in the countryside and everyone needs to farm at least once a year. Su then says that first, it is necessary to remove the weeds, then irrigate the soil, and finally secretly infuse spiritual energy into the spiritual grains to help them grow better. Jin asks why he thinks the Venerable's trial involves agriculture and whether there is some hidden meaning. Xing answers that the place is beautiful and full of spiritual energy and that farming also cultivates character. Kongjue says that the harder the task, the greater the reward tends to be, and asks that if the dungeon mission is farming, what kind of reward could appear? The protagonist reflects that for those without spiritual roots, there would naturally be no great rewards, but for him it could be different, even wondering whether that place could be comparable to 10,000 spirit stones. The old man seems to notice something. 7 days later, they are still tending the land, with Jin releasing a light while Xing absorbs spiritual energy, feeling the pressure increase and the surrounding energy expand. The protagonist then states that he has reached the peak of foundation establishment and is only 1 step away from the golden core. Jin approaches and asks how he is, and he answers that he feels great. The old man asks if he may know what his attribute is, and Xing replies that he learned martial arts by chance and ended up stepping onto the path of cultivation without ever understanding what his attribute was. The old man comments that reaching the peak of cultivation without even knowing one's own attributes is impressive and asks him to place his hand there. The protagonist thinks that this is the first step to becoming a disciple. The elder confirms that he has dual spiritual roots of wood and fire, explaining that although they are not as exceptional as a high-grade single spiritual root, they are more than sufficient for cultivation and very suitable for the path of alchemy. He also notes that the cultivation technique he practices is the evergreen technique, a method that has limits but is extremely beneficial for cultivators at the beginning of their journey. Wood attribute techniques absorb the vitality of all things and return to nature, making them ideal for the art of nourishing and cultivating the spirit. Su feels that the great moment has finally arrived. The elder says their meeting is fate and reveals that he is an old farmer of the sect with the Taoist name Qing Yunzi. He asks whether he is willing to become his disciple and says he would be satisfied to accept him as a registered disciple. Xing promptly answers that he is willing. The elder says that since he has joined the sect, he has some gifts to offer. The first is an immortal technique called the Divine Farmer Spirit Cultivation Art, obtained by chance, which he has not fully mastered even after 1,000 years of study, but seeing his agricultural talent, he decides to grant him this immortal technique. He states that if he can cultivate it to perfection, he will certainly have a guaranteed place among the 3,000 worlds. The protagonist gives thanks while thinking about the 100,000 energy points that represents. The elder presents the second gift, a portable, blessed land of 3 inches. The protagonist asks whether he intends to hand over the entire temporary dungeon. The elder answers that although this blessed land contains only a small hill of 100 zhang in area, it is rich in spiritual energy and very beautiful, perfect for studying the art of nurturing the spirit. Su thanks him again. The elder explains that the third gift is the Qing Yun sect token, saying that although he is only a registered disciple, his position in the sect is not low, and that once he reaches the return to void cultivation level, he can become a formal disciple and then head to the sect within the Qing Yun realm. Xing thinks this truly seems like a legitimate cultivation sect and that if he can enter and cultivate there, the gains will be enormous. He then says the elder mentioned he is suitable for alchemy, but that he does not yet have any alchemy techniques. The elder replies that he is not skilled in alchemy and has no advanced techniques to teach, but that this Liho alchemy art was obtained by chance and contains 360 pill recipes, which is more than enough to learn. The protagonist thinks that with this, both cultivating and earning money will not be difficult. The elder adds that regarding advanced cultivation techniques, he must understand that greed leads to poor digestion. He explains that the evergreen technique alone is enough to cultivate up to the return to void realm and will be extremely beneficial, and that other techniques should be sought only after mastering it completely. Su thinks that he has not even fully stepped onto the path yet. Since his cultivation technique is incomplete and not enough to reach return to void, and wonders whether the elder did this on purpose or by oversight, and whether it might be a test. He concludes that he needs to add to his plans the search for the second half of the evergreen technique. At night, Jin says he finally came out since it is already dark. The protagonist says he was just looking for her and proposes trading 50 units of spiritual rice for 50 spirit stones, asking if that would be acceptable. Kongshui answers that she obtained those rewards thanks to his help and would like to share them with him, leaving Su surprised. Jin adds that if he is embarrassed to accept them for free, he can simply accompany her back to the city. Already in a luxury hotel room lit with candles, Kongshui asks whether he came to Jinling City to find someone or something specific, and whether she can help with anything. Xing keeps a serious expression and thinks that time flows at a 1-to-1 ratio between the Qingyun spiritual field dungeon and the real world, since 7 days passed inside and 7 days also passed outside. The system notifies that the 7-day reflection period has ended. He says he is going to the bathroom while Jin looks at herself in the mirror and wonders whether the color she is wearing today is wrong. At the same time, the protagonist stays focused on the simulation and reflects on whether the apocalypse will still happen after he becomes a disciple. The system then notifies him that he is naturally stronger than average, possessing several times the physical strength of an ordinary person and considerable talent in body refinement. Kongshui knocks on the door asking if he is finished and says nothing happened. Su leaves the bathroom replying that not yet. Jin says that is good because he took so long that she thought something had happened. Xing thanks her for the concern. Kongshui comments that it was a tiring day and that he should also take a bath, but the protagonist suggests they eat first. Jin touches his hand and says she will eat later because she is already satisfied. Then Kongshui throws him onto the bed and the two spend another happy week in Jinling City. A week later, the protagonist comments that she is really very energetic and that he almost had to rely on goji berries to keep up. But now he can finally continue the simulation. The system notifies that the simulation will begin. He enters Qingyun again, where the master grants him the small Qingyun secret realm. Su reflects that this time, with spiritual rice, his cultivation progress will be much faster. He tastes the seasoned rice and says the flavor and sensation are incredible. Xing begins entering the portable spiritual land, the blessed land, every day to take care of the spiritual grain with extreme care. Because he is strong and has a much greater appetite than a normal person, he manages to consume an entire portion of spiritual rice in a single meal, and thus advances into the bone strength realm. He comments that last time it took 3 years to reach the 5th stage of body refinement, while now only 1 week was enough to reach the first layer of the bone forging realm. He concludes that spiritual rice is truly extraordinary, and that this is also due to the powerful elder. He thinks he needs to bring this talent out of the simulation because Su's cultivation speed is impressive and draws a lot of attention. He spends 3 hours per day cultivating in the dungeon and uses the remaining time to help younger classmates in dungeon runs and level up quickly. Several girls ask to be carried along, and the medic observes that Xing's body refinement keeps improving, increasing the dungeon success rate. The junior students who offer power leveling services become highly demanded. The protagonist pays the money he owed his partner and hears Pangzi comment that his earning pace is very good. He explains that Wang asked him to pass along a message saying she has something to discuss with him tonight in the small grove near the campus. Su wonders whether she is going to drop out and join the mysterious organization again. This time, Xing does not stop Wang from joining the mysterious organization and only asks her to be careful. That night, the two try many new moves in the small grove, leading the protagonist to conclude that she really should join the mysterious organization to find the complete version of the evergreen technique. After Wang Qingxuan leaves, he continues cultivating in the spiritual field, reaching the 7th layer of the bone forging realm after 1 year, the 9th layer in the 3rd year, and the great perfection of the bone forging realm in the 4th year. At that point, he encounters a bottleneck and cannot advance further. Xing remembers that according to the divine farmer spirit cultivation art, different spiritual plants increase cultivation speed in different ways, and that to go further he will need higher grade spiritual plants than spiritual rice. He recalls that the master left some seeds before departing and wonders where they are, eventually finding a spiritual plant called white jade ginseng. Its cultivation method requires burying a common ginseng deep in the spiritual field and infusing it with spiritual energy day and night, only digging it up after 10 years. Su questions whether by then the apocalypse would already have arrived, since the harvest would come after death. Since white jade ginseng does not solve the problem, Xing thinks of another possibility. He remembers that spiritual plants absorb spiritual energy over long periods and imagines that animals might be able to do the same. He captures some chickens from outside and places them in the blessed spiritual land, trying to feed them spiritual rice. 1/10 die immediately, while the remaining ones stubbornly survive and show a significant increase in intelligence. While the protagonist is absorbed in the chicken-raising project, Wang returns bringing the first part of the evergreen technique. Ching explains that, as a senior year student, she discovered that the cultivation technique best suited to his innate talent is precisely the first part of the evergreen technique. Su replies that he does not want the technique at that moment and instead has a request because he wants to join the organization. Wang asks if he truly wants to participate, and Ching asks whether she could introduce him. Ching answers that it is possible since she has already reached Grandmaster level and is qualified to recommend new members. The protagonist hugs her and says, "That is great." At the Descent cult gathering, Wang announces that her partner has arrived, a voice authorizes the entrance, and a masked man calls his name. Su finds the gloomy environment strange. He's then introduced to Elder Ying. Ching wonders whether that figure is a man or a woman, since the voice sounds both deep and sharp, and he even considers whether it could be a eunuch. Wang asks him to drink tea, and the protagonist gives thanks. Ying says that since he wishes to join the cult, the doctrines will be presented first, and Su thanks her again. Ying explains that the name is the Descent cult, whose goal is to eliminate human tyranny because the world belongs to the alien races. Ching is shocked and asks about the cult. Ying answers that humans are fundamentally unworthy of ruling the planet and that only the great alien races are the true gods. The protagonist wonders whether he is in a modern cultivation world or a dark forest scenario. Ying warns that he can still withdraw at that moment, because once inside the Descent cult, there is no return. Su states that he will not withdraw and that as long as he can obtain the lower half of the evergreen technique, he is willing to give everything to the cult. Ying replies that this is not necessary and explains that he may accept a mission or offer a treasure to obtain the technique. Ching wonders what could count as a treasure and asks whether spiritual rice qualifies, then asks if he can trade spiritual rice for the technique. Ying reacts in surprise and says that he truly possesses spiritual rice. Elder Ying then disappears. A mysterious elder appears and takes everyone away, and shortly after the protagonist shows up with his hands tied. A mysterious man holding a whip asks where the spiritual rice came from. Su, injured, answers that he will not say a word. He is tortured until his end at 29 years of age, while the inevitable end talent does not activate. A voice comments that he is finished and asks how they should deal with him. The mysterious man steps on his face and the others praise the elder's wisdom. The system then notifies that the inevitable end failed and that the simulation has ended. The protagonist asks who that person was, but the simulation closes completely. Su feels that he has seen that figure somewhere before and wonders if it is nothing more than an illusion. The system notifies that he can choose one of the following rewards: green talent for sale for 10,000 energy points. The MC says that he will deal with the Descent cult later. They will claim the rewards first. It is a pity that he can only bring one reward. He wants them all. The MC says that he accepts that one. With this, he will certainly reach the great perfection of the bone strength realm in the next simulation. Less than 2,000 energy points remain. It is not enough for the next simulation. He needs to hurry and make money and asks if she would be free to meet him soon. At the hotel, Jin asks if he wants to sell 50 spiritual rice. Su replies that that is right, he wants a price. Kang Jue asks if he is in urgent need of money because, if he is, she can lend him some. The MC asks how much she can lend him and whether it is 50 million. Jin replies that of course her grandfather is the president of the corporation. 50 million, even 100 million, is not a problem. The MC says that he will borrow 100 million, considering those 50 spiritual rice as interest. Kang Zue asks what he needs so much money for. Su replies that he will explain later and asks her to help buy a batch of high-quality equipment from the corporation with that 100 million. In addition, he will keep the spiritual rice for his own cultivation and consumption, not selling it to third parties. Possessing treasures can bring disaster. He thinks that he cannot let her become a target of the Descent cult. Jin says that she understands. Later, a door is opened and the MC, exhausted, says that he has returned. He lies on the bed and says that he is now a great debtor, with a debt of 100 million yuan. He needs to find a way to make money and wonders if he should sell spiritual rice and spiritual chickens. He says to forget it. He will simulate first and find the answer within the simulation. The system notifies to begin the simulation. His willpower is several times greater than that of a common person. He will face difficulties head-on and never give up easily. Su says that it is a talent that influences willpower. The MC knows that the objective of this simulation is to find a way to make money and feels a little tired. He decides to look for business opportunities among the gifts left by the master. In the forest, a small bird is on the MC's head, and Su says that one pill can maintain energy for a week. The youth pill can instantly restore a person's appearance to 20 years old. These two types of pills seem to be a good source of profit. The first can be sold to those who cannot control their tongue while trying to lose weight, and the second to older and wealthy women. He decides that he will refine these two pills and first needs to heat the alchemy furnace. The MC ignites flames and causes a tremendous explosion. The MC says that it seems he cannot use a lighter for alchemy and that he might take a look at the Lihuo alchemy art. It seems that alchemy requires a professional flame technique to stop being a debtor and become rich. Su begins to diligently study the Lihuo technique. During this time, Wang came looking for him. After one night, he joined the descent cult. In the second year, the MC vaguely comprehended the essence, increasing the time spent comprehending Lihuo to 6 hours per day. Later, still in the same place, the MC says that he finally mastered the Lihuo technique. It was worth practicing for 6 years. This Lihuo is truly miraculous. Any living being that comes into contact with it will be instantly reduced to ashes, but it will not harm him. He sees that Lihuo can be used not only for alchemy but also to fight enemies. He finally has an offensive technique. He wonders what the pills refined with such a powerful technique will be like. He refines the pills diligently. His mastery of Lihuo improves every day. In the 7th year, Su attended his sister's funeral. After the funeral, he pulled himself together and continued to study the Lihuo technique. The MC walks, absorbing the technique, and says that it is not bad. Bigu pills are not a problem. The next is the most difficult, the youth preservation pill. Refining this is more difficult than he imagined. After 3 years, he finally perfected the youth pill. There was no change, and he wonders if he failed again this time. The MC swallows one pill and says that it is time to witness a miracle. His stomach feels bad, and Su asks if he is still himself, and says that his skin is so soft and white and the crow's feet disappeared. Afterward, he will find Jin to sell them. This thing will certainly cause a sensation among rich and older women. He wonders whether this medicine can really rejuvenate people. Later, elsewhere, Kongzue says that she will try it first. The MC tells her to wait. Jin takes the pill and an energy moves around Kongzue's body, rejuvenating her. Jin looks at herself in the mirror and asks what this is. Su says that his youth preservation pills have commercial appeal. Kongzue asks how many pills he still has and says that she will buy them all, asking, "What about 100 million each?" Anne says that she will pay 100 million per pill. The MC is shocked, and Jin says to sell the rest. She herself will buy everything he has. The MC says that he has none left. Kongzue asks if it cannot be mass-produced, and Su replies that he will go back and research it. Elsewhere, Wang observes and says that he returned. The MC is surprised to see her. Cheng gave up again. This time, he still did not stop her. A few years later, Cheng became a grandmaster again. She presented the first part of the evergreen technique. The MC says that he does not want a cultivation technique and wants to join the descent cult. Although surprised, she still agrees to the request. Wang says that this is her most experienced student. Ying says that if he wants to join the cult, he needs to contribute to it. By coincidence, there is a mission available. Su says that she can speak freely. Ying says that she needs her with 100 cult members. Qing interrupts and says that this mission is of great importance. It would be better for the most experienced students to start with the most basic tasks. Ying says that he can arrange whoever he wants to bring. Qing gives thanks. Su thinks that she is not the type to act on her own and wonders if this mission is that difficult, and asks about cooperating with the demon race at Zhenyao Pass to leak human intelligence information. Wang says that that is correct. This mission is a death sentence. She does not want him to take any risk. The MC asks why exactly she joined the descent cult and betrayed humanity. Qing replies that it is because she has no other choice and that he needs to sleep, that tomorrow she will take him to meet the other elders of the descent cult. Su thinks that it seems at this time he will not be able to obtain anything from her. Elsewhere, the MC, irritated, asks if ginseng is made of gold because the price increased tenfold, and says that he also does not want to know the reason. The demand for recovery potions has increased greatly recently. If he does not increase prices, the pharmacy will have to close. The MC wonders if this has any relation to the actions of the descent cult. Only large-scale casualties would require such a huge amount of recovery potions. Su feels disturbed, with a deep sense of helplessness. To distract himself, he begins to diligently research a generic version of the rich woman happiness pill. Smoke dissipates, and the MC says that he is truly an alchemy genius. He can refine youth pills even without spiritual ginseng. This means that he can produce them in mass. He goes to Jinling to share this good news with Kongzue. In another place, something shakes, and the MC says that the day has finally arrived. Inside a coffin, someone is lying down, and Su, walking in deep loneliness, asks when he will finally understand the truth about the apocalypse. Someone calls him a traitor. and it is Elder Zong who advances and says that he knew he was sent by the Jin family. The system notifies that he was killed. The simulation ended, and he can choose one of the following rewards. Tenacity talent, 1,000 points. 5th generation spiritual chicken, 5. The MC says that it is the dilemma of choice. He wants both tenacity and the Luhuo technique. If it has courage, let it deliver both rewards at once. More notifications arrive saying that the host can spend 500,000 energy points to upgrade the simulator. The functions are as follows. First, the number of rewards that can be obtained in the simulator increased from 1 to 2. Second, an immersive simulation experience was added. The host can spend 10 destiny points to choose a specific day in the simulation for an immersive experience. Su says that he suspects that he has another hidden talent. The system notifies that the life simulator has been updated. He must select the rewards, tenacity and comprehension of the introductory Lihuo technique. This will give 110,000 points. He still has 11,680 energy points remaining. The MC says that money is actually never enough. The MC calls his partner and says that he would like to sell 20 spiritual rice and asks if she would have time to pick it up. Jin replies that she does not have time. Then he receives a notification that he received 20 million and a message saying that he can spend those 20 million first. Su asks if this is how it feels to be supported by a rich woman and says that it is so touching. With the money, he only needs to wait 1 week and simulate again for the pill to take effect. The MC looks at himself in the mirror and says that he keeps thinking about how much younger he would have looked if he had taken the youth pill during college. The system notifies the start of the simulation and congratulates him for obtaining a green talent, that his luck is far superior to ordinary people and that he often finds money when he goes out and if he buys a scratch ticket. The MC says that it is very good. In the dormitory, Su realizes that he is in a simulation. The mission this time is to accumulate enough experience in alchemy. Then he does not hesitate and begins to practice diligently. The MC wonders if it is due to the influence of continuous good luck and says that the survival rate of this batch of chicks is much higher than before, and the quality also improved a lot. The pill formation rate also increased significantly compared to the last simulation. The color of this youth pill indicates that it is high quality. The MC answers a call from Kongjue and asks when she can come to Kyoto and says that he has a surprise for her. Jin asks what mysterious thing it is, and Su replies that it is something that can bring her complete happiness. Kongjue tells him to stop with those things and asks why he is saying that in broad daylight and says that she will arrive tonight and he can wait for her. The MC tells her to wait, that there was a misunderstanding. At night, the MC says that he developed weight loss pills and youth preservation pills that, together, can be called rich woman happiness pills and asks how much she thinks he can sell them for. Just like in the last simulation, Jin is impressed with the pills he produced and decides to help him auction them at the corporation. At the auction, people are making their bids, and Kongjue is at the location and realizes that all have already been sold. Su wonders if this is how it feels to become rich overnight, and says that the high-quality youth preservation pills will be auctioned, and the lower-quality ones will be sold at retail. With Jin's skills, he will not need to worry about money in the future. He asks if this is how financial freedom feels. At night, the MC runs with a suitcase and says that women will do anything for beauty. He should return to school. School is a safe place. Despite the MC's caution, the trip was not smooth. A woman approaches and says that he is a handsome young man falling into the same hole as a destined encounter and asks if he wants to exchange WeChat. Su asks if instead of flirting with him, why she does not call the police. Another girl approaches running, saying that the youth pill is hers. The two argue and even point a dagger at the MC. They chase him. Although the process was difficult thanks to his tenacious spirit, he finally returns to the trusted campus. The MC stops in front of a door and says that he finally returned. Now that he has returned, he will not leave again. He will focus on alchemy. Su dedicates himself to cultivation diligently. As he still cannot break through the chi refinement stage, he begins to plan the third great realm of body cultivation, the viscera refinement stage. In the same year, he receives the news of his younger sister's tragic death. The MC dedicates himself even more to cultivation and begins to isolate himself until a terrible explosion happens, and the MC, coughing because of the smoke, says that it seems that the viscera refinement stage cannot be broken through by brute force alone. He needs to re-examine the jade slip left by Qingyunzi. The system notifies that the 5 organs pill, also known as the organ refinement pill, strengthens the 5 internal organs and is used to break through the organ refinement stage. The yellow immortal essence, which nourishes the lungs and benefits the kidneys, is the main ingredient of the 5 organs pill. It thrives in water and has a period of 3 years. Elsewhere, Su is picking some plants and asks what he said, and says that he cannot afford to wait that long. 3 years later, the MC says that with all these ingredients, he has enough to refine the 5 viscera pill. The MC has been a farmer for 3 years and successfully cultivated 1 acre of yellow immortal essence, and says that first, he needs to use Lehuo to burn the yellow immortal essence until it becomes viscous. Another explosion happens. Su coughs and says that this is very difficult, he cannot give up now, and the MC firmly believes that failure is the mother of success. After finding many mothers for failures, his control over Lehuo becomes increasingly efficient. The MC says that he can even refine qi gathering powder and asks why he cannot refine the 5 viscera pill, and says that it is not a total loss. However, qi gathering powder can increase spiritual energy within the body, facilitating alchemy. Days pass one after another. One day, an unexpected guest knocks on the door. Later, Su opens the door and asks who he is. The man replies that he is Kong Sui's father, and the MC invites him to enter. The man says that he will not disturb him for long. He came for 2 reasons. First, that Kong Sui is dead, and the MC widens his eyes and wonders if that time of year has arrived again, and asks about the second thing. The man says that he found this among her belongings and asks if he refined it. Su replies that yes, this is the weight loss pill. Whoever takes it will not feel hunger for 3 days. The man asks how many more he has and says that he will take them all, and the MC asks what he needs them for. The man hesitates to speak. The MC says that he does not have many weight loss pills on hand right now, but he can refine them. However, he needs to know why. The man says that he is also part of humanity. He should know the truth. The situation for humans at Zhenyao Pass is becoming increasingly difficult, and the number of cultivators is especially scarce. The weight loss pills can ensure that master-level cultivators do not go hungry for 3 days. By skipping meals, everyone can engage in battle more quickly. Su wonders if humanity's situation is so desperate that they do not even have time to eat, and says that he promises that he will refine them. He can come to pick them up in 3 days. The man thanks him and says that he will not cheat him with money. In the same place, the MC is refining the pills and wonders what exactly happened at Zhenyao Pass because everyone is going there to lose their lives. The MC's intuition tells him that this is an excellent opportunity to discover the truth. He decides to take the risk. Elsewhere, the man says that the money is there. He already exchanged it for gold bars. Su says that he does not want money, and the man asks what he wants. The MC replies that he wants to meet a high-ranking officer of the Great Xia Army. If he meets him, he will give all of this to him. The man says that he will pass the message. Whether it is possible or not is not up to him to decide, and the MC thanks him for the concern and asks where they are going. The man replies that he will know when they arrive there. First, he needs to get into the car. The MC puts a cloth over his eyes and gets into the car, wondering who they are taking him to see, and thinks that they are being very cautious. Although he is apprehensive, Su decides to take the risk and enter the uncertain luxury car, thinking that he can simply simulate again if something goes wrong, until they arrive. The MC removes the cloth from his face. He asks what this is and thinks that this is Renmin Ditan, the altar of the people. Those who live there are the most powerful people of Great Xia. A voice asks why the young friend does not approach and if he did not want to see him. The MC thinks that using long-distance sound transmission, the other party is at least at Martial Emperor level. The man says that he can only accompany him up to there. He can proceed. Then Su opens the door and asks who he is. In front of him is Lu Yuanwu, one of the leaders of the Great Xia Army, and he says that he heard that he refined soldier ration pills. The MC asks if he called that soldier ration pills, and Lu replies that normally it is a diet pill used for weight loss, but now they have to be soldier ration pills. The MC asks what exactly happened in the human world. Yuanwu replies that he does not need to worry about that. The reason he is there today is to buy the formula of the soldier ration pills. He should fill in any number he wishes. Su says that he can give the pill formula for free. He only wants to know exactly what happened at Zhenyao Pass. He wants to know how his sister, his brother, and Kong Sui lost their lives. Lu tells him to remember that this must be kept in absolute secrecy. The MC asks why there are so many students and teachers from Kyoto Vocational University there, and says that this is the human city of Zhenyao Pass. Cultivators must enter the city to fight for the future of humanity. The MC says that his classmates there are not even grandmasters. They are only masters. Yuanwu says that it is exactly as he thinks. The situation at Zhenyao Pass has become increasingly critical in recent years. Grandmaster-level experts are scarce. Su grits his teeth, and Lu says that the battlefield is beyond that protective shield, and the 3 lost their lives there. From now on, he will stay in the human city of Zhenyao Pass and refine pills for everyone. Do not go any further. The MC wonders what exactly happened there. The system notifies that he discovered the truth, but he does not feel happy at all. The MC wants to see the battlefield with his own eyes. He wants to know how all of them lost their lives. Guards close the passage and say that without the commander's permission, he cannot leave. Sue says that he only wants to take a walk. It is very stuffy inside. The guard says no. The MC thinks that it seems he cannot use the trick of an accidental encounter or getting lost. Pills float. The MC grabs them and says that he is an alchemy genius. He refined the bewitching pill in an instant, until the guards say that the commander is in trouble. Pills move toward them, breaking and releasing smoke. The guards fall to the ground and the MC runs away. Sue made meticulous preparations and intends to enter the protective shield to investigate. The MC walks, surprised, but he is still unprepared. Right ahead there is a huge monster. A team says that the weak point is the eyes. It is blind in the left eye. Then the warriors advance together, but they are thrown away with just one strike. The team leader tells them to disperse. The monster grabs one of them in its hand and says that they underestimated it. The warrior replies that it is the one overestimating itself. Until the monster gets its eye hit, the leader says to go quickly while there is still time. The monster becomes furious and says that all of them will lose their lives. The monster has both eyes injured and says that they cannot eliminate it. The team leader advances, saying that he will avenge his disciples. The leader manages to hit it and the monster calls him a senile old man and says that it will take him with it to the bottom of the abyss. The monster falls to the ground and the MC continues observing and says that after so many lives lost, they barely managed to eliminate a single giant, and asks if they also lost their lives like that. Someone approaches and says that the mountains and rivers of Great Xia are safe, and asks how there can be a shortage of people willing to lose their lives. It is Lu who tells him to go home, because there is not much more to stay there for. Yuanwu's words make Sue realize that Zhenyao Pass has already fallen. The invasion of alien races is only a matter of time. The MC is cultivating and moves his fingers. The MC turns pain into strength and plans to refine the viscera refinement pill properly to reach the viscera refinement stage as quickly as possible, and Sue says that he succeeded. He swallows the pill impatiently and explodes instantly. The simulation ended. The system notifies that he can choose 2 rewards among the following. The MC, indignant, asks if he exploded because of his own pill and says that this is not right. He did not explode the furnace, and the refining was successful. The MC says that he used yellow immortal essence, the result of 3 years of cultivation in a 1-acre field. The medicinal power of the viscera refinement pill was so strong that it made him explode, and asks if the effectiveness of the pill is related to the age of the ingredients, and says to test it. How can he let such a simple detail pass? However, he needs to improve his cultivation to refine pills better. He decides to bring back the introductory Luo alchemy skill. The system notifies that he chose to bring back the green talent, Intuition Reflex, which costs 10,000 energy points. He chose to recover the comprehension of the introductory Luo alchemy skill at the cost of 100,000 points. Sue says that this simulation finally managed to make contact with Zhenyao Pass. Therefore, it is not that the giants will descend in 15 years, but rather that if Zhenyao Pass collapses, those giants will descend upon reality and destroy everything. In fact, those giants always existed. They were just blocked outside Zhenyao Pass. Fortunately, there are still 15 years left. Everything can still be done. If in 15 years hundreds of simulations cannot save the world, then he might as well be a complete idiot. Jin is surprised that her dark circles and crow's feet disappeared completely. She feels as if she's only 20 years old now. The MC says that the scientific name of that pill is Youth Pill, but he calls it the Rich Woman Happiness Pill and asks if she thinks it can reach a good price, until a notification arrives on the phone saying that he received 100 million. Kongjue says that she will take everything he brought. It is 1 million pills for each. If it is not enough, Sue wonders if this is the power of a rich woman and says that he is finally experiencing what it is like to be a heavenly dragon in real life. It is not that he does not like money, it is just that the cumulative effect of youth pills is limited. Eating that much will not do any good. Kongzue asks who said she would eat it alone and if he forgot what her surname is. The MC thinks that that is right. This is the first time, truly, that he learns about Kongzue's family business. Jin says that it is exactly as he thinks. She is the only daughter of the Jin Corporation. She will not just eat them herself, she will auction them. The MC says that he does not want money. He would like her company to help him convert all that money into high-quality equipment. Kongzue asks if top-tier equipment worth 100 million, and if that gives at least 5,000 pieces, what he needs so many top-tier equipments for. The MC says that he cannot explain now, but he needs that very much. Jin says that 5,000 pieces is not a small number. That can attract the authorities' attention. However, she has a good idea. First, she can establish a merchant guild to acquire low-level equipment. Second, ensuring the quality of the equipment is to acquire eco-grade equipment. The MC says that it is a good idea. Then they will call the merchant guild the Tarot Society. Jin says that the matter has already been resolved and asks if they should not continue, but the MC immediately steps away, states that he will leave the foundation of the merchant guild under her responsibility, and says that he will first return to school. The door closes forcefully. Kang Zhui becomes irritated and complains that he always does this, uses people, and then runs away, calling him a heartless and despicable man. In the dormitory, Sue comments that the system received a recent update, adding an immersive simulation function that he always wanted to test, but he did not have enough energy points. And now, with her helping him earn money, he can finally enjoy everything as he should and lets the storm continue. The system congratulates him for obtaining the green talent called Imposing Presence, more robust than the others and with a greater chance of attracting the favor of the opposite sex. The MC complains that it is the end of the world, asks what this useless talent is for, and demands his money back. In the Qingyun's secret realm, the system notifies that, resuming from where they left off, he lost his life last time due to the explosion of the Viscera refinement pill. But, for being exceptionally intelligent, the MC realized that the problem was in the quality of the medicinal ingredients and continued practicing body cultivation. Sue comments that this time, the medicinal effect was reduced by half and should not go wrong. The system also informs that he practices body cultivation day after day while cultivating the land, raising chickens, leveling up quickly, sending Wang to the descent cult, and the Mc finally returns to the great perfection of the bone-forging realm. A light spreads, and the system announces that it is time to swallow the Viscera refinement pill. The MC says that if it is still dangerous, maybe it is better to give it to Jin to test first, because he does not want to start everything again, but he also needs to find a way to strengthen his physique and supplement. Sue looks at 3 birds in the nest and says that they are the chosen ones. The birds try to fly, but the MC captures them and threatens that if they do not lay 1 egg per day, they will end up turning into soup, and immediately they begin laying. Jin reports that the Viscera refinement pill has already been tested, that the medicinal properties are extremely potent. The process is very painful, but the increase in strength is significant. The MC asks if she can find a way to deliver this pill to Lu. Kang Zhui questions if he's looking for Grandpa Lu, and the MC, surprised, asks if she really calls him that. Following Jin's recommendation, Sue quickly contacts Lu, who shows great interest in the Viscera refinement pill capable of increasing strength. In another place, Yuanwu holds a pill, and the MC wonders if the fearless cultivators of the armed forces, allied with this powerful pill, will be able to survive the apocalypse. After fulfilling the wish, the MC focuses on eating the spiritual chicken eggs, wanting to strengthen his body to the maximum to be able to swallow the Viscera refinement pill. One day, while Sue carefully roasts a chicken, he hears Kang Zhui calling, asking if he is there, and the MC returns to the normal world, opens the door and gets startled while asking what is happening. Jin appears accompanied by military personnel and says that there is no time for explanations, demanding that he accompany her immediately. They approach a helicopter. The MC looks apprehensive and asks if it needs to be so dramatic and what exactly happened. Kang Zhui explains that the Viscera refinement pill made an enormous contribution, and Sue realizes that it really works. At Renmin Detan, a soldier salutes the commander, and Lu states that, according to military specialist predictions, an average of 5 Viscera refinement pills can increase the strength of a cultivator of that level by 50%, asking how many pills he can currently refine. The MC replies that, being conservative, he can provide about 200 units per month, and Jin calculates that this means creating 200 extremely powerful Grandmaster level cultivators in 5 months. Lu says that this represents a gigantic improvement for Great Xia and for all humanity. The MC adds that he can also offer 3rd level treatment as long as Viscera refinement pills are provided in sufficient quantity. Jin, shocked, asks about the 3rd level and remembers that even Grandpa is only 2nd level, because 3rd category treatments in all Great Xia are enjoyed by only a few hundred people, most already sacrificed for the people, questioning if that means he is now number 1 in humanity. Sue only replies that he would like to know if there are cultivation instances in this world. Jin asks if it is like the Qingyun spiritual field they visited, and the MC confirms that it is exactly that. Lu explains that such instances exist, but they are only recorded in ancient records and that he cannot provide the coordinates. The MC states that this information is extremely important to him and guarantees that he will refine the Viscera refinement pill diligently, while Lu says that he will arrange everything for him as soon as possible. Su reflects that certainly there are other cultivation instances besides Qingyun, and that they must also offer opportunities similar to those left by Qingyunzi. 3 days later in the office, Jin approaches and comments that she will first go to the Tarot Society, asking him to analyze everything calmly. The MC thanks her and informs the system that he wishes to spend 100,000 energy points to immerse in an immersive simulation for 1 hour. The system notifies the consumption of the 100,000 points, confirming the choice of the simulation and informing that 407,000 energy points remain. The MC comments that the feeling is as if he truly transmigrated, and that those points were very well used. Su observes the documents and asks what ultra secret means and what type of information receives this classification. While the MC continues analyzing the papers, the system warns that the instance name is Blood Demon Lair and recommends maximum caution, explaining that cultivation-focused instances are extremely dangerous and not recommended for cultivators below Grandmaster level. There is the possibility of legendary existences, or even saint-level beings appearing, being recommended to form teams of at least 5 Heavenly King-level cultivators, led by a martial Emperor-level expert. The MC mentions the Plasma Demon Sect Lair, remembering that 7 Heavenly King-level cultivators and 2 Martial Emperor-level cultivators already died there, questioning whether that can still be called an instance, or if it is just a meat grinder, concluding that it is not surprising such places are not publicly disclosed. The system informs that the Plasma Demon Lair has 4-star difficulty and explains that, upon entering, the cultivator will appear near a sect called the Plasma Demon Sect, needing to flee immediately to the north since the southwest leads directly to the lair. The disciples of this sect are thirsty for plasma, attack indiscriminately, and possess magical artifacts capable of tracking the intruder's location. Su questions if constant pursuit and tracking do not mean certain death, but considers that if information was recorded, then someone survived, and it is better to investigate calmly. The system reveals the source of the record Shuksu Chronicle, dated the year of the new era, 1978, on April 26. The MC thinks that such a powerful cultivator must have lived before the apocalypse, and that it would be essential to find him to ask for guidance on how to complete that instance, but soon acknowledges that being only a cultivator at the Foundation establishment stage, he should not even consider something of that level, asking if there are no instances suitable for his current stage. The MC then mentions a 2-star difficulty instance, and the system explains that it is a space-time loop instance, where only one cultivator can enter at a time, always on the same day known as the year 7166 of the Luotian calendar, January 1st, date of the Great Annual Luotian Meeting. Whoever enters transmigrates into a Foundation establishment stage cultivator called Luo and experiences everything that he experiences on that day. Su adds that nothing can be brought from that instance except memories, but that it is still worth it, because memories of a cultivator can be the greatest treasure. Then another option appears of even lower difficulty, only 1 star, called End of the Dharma Era, located in the late period of cultivation, when spiritual energy was already almost exhausted, and due to the scarcity of spiritual stones, almost all cultivators were stuck in the Qi refinement stage, leading the MC to wonder if that situation was not frighteningly similar to his own. The system notifies that, in this case, the 3 main sects, the Fusheng sect, the Xuan sect, and the Chang sect, possessed traces of cultivators in ancient times and managed to preserve some cultivation techniques. Su comments that, since these are cultivation techniques, this is perfect for him to explore personally, and takes the opportunity to ask whether the Changchun sect has any relation to a certain technique and whether the method of the descent cult may have originated from this scenario. The system warns that only 10 minutes remain in the immersive simulation experience and recommends managing the time carefully. The MC complains that time passed too quickly and questions whether it is faster than him. At that moment, someone calls, the MC answers, and asks the commander for the coordinates of the End of the Dharma Era and Great Luotian Gathering instances. Lu replies that he can provide the coordinates of the End of the Dharma Era, but that the Great Luotian Gathering ended 3 years ago, making them useless. Su says that it does not matter if it is over and asks him to send both. He reads the coordinates aloud while the MC memorizes them, realizing that although in the simulation the Great Luotian Gathering had already ended, in the real world this did not occur, and concludes that the 100,000 energy points were not wasted, since this information does not occupy reward slots. The system warns that only 10 seconds remain and asks if he wants to exit. The MC confirms and returns, hurrying to fix the coordinates while the memory is still fresh. These two cases are dangerous, but the end of the Dharma era still involves ancient cultivators, so he decides to wait until his cultivation advances before exploring it, keeping the simulation active. After organizing everything, the MC dedicates himself to refining pills, while Su insists on consuming spiritual rice and large quantities of spiritual chicken eggs daily to strengthen his physique. Body cultivation reaches the great perfection of the bone-forging realm, but Qi refinement remains at the great perfection of foundation establishment, making advancement limited. He questions whether something is wrong with his method, or if he should review the technique left by Qing Yunzi, remembering that to reach the golden core, spiritual energy needs to accumulate in enormous quantities in the Dantian, something impossible with the low concentration of the secret realm, requiring a way to gather spiritual energy in a short time. He recalls the vitality nourishing pill, whose main ingredient is the vitality herb, and finally finds it. In that same place, the tenacity talent is activated and an energy begins circulating around the pills. Years pass, and after hundreds of failures, the MC manages to refine 5 furnaces of low-quality vitality-nourishing pills, while Su explains that this pill is different from the Viscera refinement pill, since the latter has much more violent and dangerous effects, capable of causing serious harm or death to cultivators with insufficient constitution, while the vitality-nourishing pill is gentle and can be consumed even by cultivators in the Chui refinement stage. An energy is released, spiritual energy flows continuously, and its quality becomes several times superior to before. The MC realizes that, although his cultivation is still at the great perfection of foundation establishment, his strength increased drastically. He concludes that the path of cultivation requires constant exploration, and that upon reaching the golden core, he will probably be able to compare to a common master-level cultivator, making it possible to fully investigate the end of the Dharma era instance. In the 12th year, the MC feels his cultivation solidify and has the premonition that advancement is near, then spends 3 months refining more than 100 vitality, nourishing pills to prepare. Su comments that his spiritual energy has never been so abundant, like a dry stream turning into a river, similar to spring thunder echoing in his heart while buds bloom. A deep sensation explodes and pushes everything toward the spiritual platform, raising the expectation that the moment has finally arrived. Winds arise around and energy spreads. While the MC states that the golden core depends on one's own destiny and not the heavens, and that as long as there are sufficient resources, at the end of this simulation he will immediately reach the initial stage of the golden core. The system notifies that even before surpassing the golden core stage, his strength will increase explosively, and that refining pills will become as simple as eating and drinking. Thanks to the timely supply of pills, the battle situation at Demon Suppression Pass stops being completely unfavorable and begins to evolve positively. The MC observes the clear sky and comments that it is too blue, without even a giant beast in sight. Just when he thinks everything might be coming to an end, Lu approaches and asks if something happened to Kong Shui. Su, alarmed, asks if she was eliminated, and Yuanwu replies that she was not, but that she is severely injured and will not recover without 1 or 2 years of rehabilitation. Jin's injury makes the MC realize that the revolution is still far from over and that there is no room to relax. He asks for help to prepare medicinal ingredients because he needs to refine a batch of healing potions, and Lu immediately agrees, saying that the front line desperately needs them. In the Azure Cloud secret domain, besides collecting ingredients, Su also asks Yuanwu to gather people to refine thousands of furnaces of pills, while he isolates himself and produces tens of thousands of healing pills, generating terrifying pressure just from the accumulated quantity. Simulation Year 15. The MC finds the notification strange, and Lu informs that Demon Suppression Pass has been lost and that he must retreat. The MC wonders if he failed again, reflecting that he refined pills day and night, only to delay the apocalypse for a short period, and questions how it would be possible to defeat those demons. Yuanwu replies that only a miracle could change the situation, or the birth of a true divine-level expert. A colossal beast with a gigantic mouth advances. Su asks what he intends to do, and Lu replies that he must look for a place to hide because, as a soldier, he will remain at his post until the end, living and dying with great xia. Yuanwu advances against the creature, showing that until the final moment no one retreated. Before the giant beast could swallow the world, countless fighters battled until elimination, but it was too powerful, knocking down several with a single blow. A badge falls to the ground, and the MC observes while wondering what is required for a true divine-level expert to emerge. Feeling the end approaching, he decides to try to survive by hiding in the spiritual field. Su moves quickly and realizes that the beast seems to act deliberately, while the deafening sound makes his ears nearly fail. The MC senses something strange ahead and the system notifies that he was caught by spatial turbulence and torn apart, ending the simulation. The MC understands that, in other words, hiding in a blessed land with a spiritual field during the apocalypse is useless. New notifications appear offering rewards: 10 years of experience in alchemy at the cost of 10 W of observation, and the golden core option, even if only of medium spiritual quality, necessary to achieve a high-level golden core. Sue comments that imposing presence is useless and that golden core cultivation is indispensable. As for alchemy experience, he also chooses this option since many places will require alchemy in the future. The MC decides to absorb the 10 years of alchemy experience and the golden core cultivation at the initial stage, leaving 197,000 energy points remaining. The cultivation begins to be imported and he needs to remain calm. Flames arise around, giving the sensation that his entire body is burning and something is about to be born. Spiritual energy converges and manifests as a great tree, which blooms in gold and bears golden fruit. Sue is fascinated and comments that this sensation is intoxicating, but the system warns him not to be distracted and to focus on forming the golden core. An intense light explodes. The MC's eyes release energy and power spreads around his body. He smiles as he feels strength emerging and perceives the formation of a vortex of spiritual energy. A rumble echoes, and Sue warns that not even gold-level professionals could withstand this without control, because the golden core stage vortex is terrifying and could affect the entire Capital Vocational University. An intense light concentrates between the MC's hands, and he breathes with difficulty, relieved for managing to contain the power in time. Otherwise, the entire dormitory would have been destroyed and he would probably be treated as a terrorist. He did not expect to possess such destructive power just at the golden core stage, and concludes that, as imagined, cultivation is the true path, while leveling up by other means is nothing more than something inferior. A single simulation spared him 15 years of arduous cultivation, and now he has also become a golden core stage cultivator, while Sue remains at the initial golden core. Ahead, a ring of flames rises and the MC observes the monsters beyond it, warning them not to act rashly, as he is still far from reaching the level of a true god, and to prevent the catastrophe threatening the end of the world, he must continue strengthening himself. He realizes that he now possesses 6 talents, and wonders how many more he can still master, also questioning why a spiritual explosion skill appeared. Imagining whether the vortex he previously tried to condense was not recognized by the evaluation system as his own ability. In other words, even without obtaining scrolls by defeating monsters or opening chests, he is capable of comprehending skills on his own, which opens practically infinite possibilities. During battles, he realizes that, as long as there is sufficient spiritual energy in his body, he can cast spells such as Lehuo and Spiritual Explosion continuously without needing cooldown time, and reflects that, being only at the early golden core stage, his absolute priority is obtaining the final part of the evergreen technique to have a chance to advance to the nascent soul stage or even beyond, concluding that next time he will need to infiltrate the descent cult again. Sue then suggests starting another simulation, stating that this time they will certainly find new clues inside the descent cult. The system notifies that on another day of simulation, the MC follows Wang with complete loyalty and officially joins the descent cult. A mysterious youth states that the cult does not accept trash and that, even with Protector Wang's recommendation, he still needs to prove his strength. The MC accepts the conditions and asks for a disciple to step forward, and Sue directly attacks Elder Ying's guard using healing and recovery pills to treat his injuries on the spot, leaving the guard shocked upon realizing those pills are at least equivalent to mid-grade healing potions. Because of this, he is appointed the sect's medicine elder, responsible for researching and improving pills, and the MC gives thanks. He successfully enters the descent cult and attains the position of elder, although he still cannot access the treasure vault to search for the evergreen technique. But that opportunity arises shortly afterward when a voice claims to have heard he wishes to enter the vault and offers him a chance. Sue asks what that opportunity would be, and the masked man explains that the healing pills refined by him greatly benefited the sect, and that if he can refine 1,000 pills within 6 months, he will be allowed to explore the treasure vault. The MC asks if he may use all the provided resources, receiving confirmation that he can, and even assurance that he may request more if necessary. The system then notifies that he deliberately misreported the quantity of medicinal ingredients and secretly diverted most of them. Using only the leftovers, he refines 500 healing pills and 100 body refinement pills, while others, ignoring the real effort involved, simply believe that represents his normal alchemy level. Thus, he begins a covert strategy, using the vast resources of the descent cult to sustain his alchemy. realizing that the ingredients supplied by them are exceptionally superior, even capable of enhancing his spiritual perception, which leads him to take advantage of the opportunity to develop even more types of high-quality pills. Su comments that it may not be imagination, since the descent cult's ingredients seem even better than those supplied by the great Xia army. 6 months later, Elder Ying appears and announces that, since the test is complete, he may now explore the treasure vault. The MC becomes excited but still suspects he might be deceived again, until Ying points out the path and reveals that, in this world, a treasure vault does not need to be a physical building. Su asks whether that is truly possible, and Ying confirms that the sect's treasure vault is not in this world but rather inside a dungeon, leading the MC to reflect whether that is why so many members of the descent cult appear like traitors, as if they are not even from this world, and to question whether there is no risk of the items disappearing if the dungeon dissipates, receiving only the response that there is no need to worry. Meanwhile, outside that world, the MC observes the situation and becomes irritated, complaining that that damned eunuch explains nothing properly, and immediately asks the system to exchange for another hour of immersive simulation. The system notifies that he is about to spend 100,000 energy points on a 1-hour immersive simulation. Inside the simulation, Su continues walking through the forest and notices that the treasure vault gate is even more magnificent than it appeared in the system. Ying tells him not to stand there staring and accompanies him. They pass through a portal and see a pavilion ahead, climb the stairs, and the MC comments that, although the outside world has advanced technology, environmental pollution is severe, while that place is completely different. Ying asks whether he wishes to join the Nature faction, and Su asks what that faction is. Ying explains that the descent cult has nearly 1,000 years of history and that, after long periods of evolution, the sect split into 3 factions: the Nature faction, the Fanatic faction, and the Coexistence faction. He states that the Fanatic faction members are lunatics who believe in the Great Sovereign and wish to sacrifice themselves so he may descend upon the Blue Star, claiming that this group has many followers, all aggressive, though they do not dare act openly. The MC questions whether that is not simply extremism, observing that they consider human existence an original sin, and then asks about the Coexistence faction. Ying replies with disdain, saying they are cowards who hope the Great Sovereign will show mercy for their service and allow most of humanity to survive. He claims they are naive and questions why they should coexist with the Great Sovereign, stating they are not qualified to do so. Su reflects that the Coexistence faction still seems to possess some remnant of humanity, but is too naive, since in every previous simulation, they were still devoured by a giant beast, making that hope empty. He then asks about the Nature faction, and Ying explains that this group seeks the greatest possible closeness to the most original and natural state of the world, firmly believing that in an era of materialism and indulgence, nature is what most closely approaches truth. The MC evaluates that, although this faction's theory is vague, it seems the most reasonable among the 3. Ying shows satisfaction, saying he understands and that he should join the Nature faction, promising to help him rid himself of the inferior status of the human race. The MC refuses and asks for a moment, questioning why humans would be considered inferior. Ying replies that humanity destroyed forests and mountains throughout its development while they consider themselves children of nature, explaining that the Great Sovereign is different, being the race closest to truth and to nature itself, and that therefore humanity should continuously approach the Sovereign, which is the philosophy of the Nature faction. Su asks what the practical approach would be, and at that moment an intense light appears. A tail begins to move, revealing that Ying possesses monster tails that wrap around the MC's body. Ying says that is a reward from the Great Sovereign, explaining that he has already transformed nearly 1/5 of his body and will soon abandon his human identity, claiming that the power of those organs drastically increased his strength. The MC steps back and tells him to stay away, thinking that the Nature faction is also abnormal and wondering whether the descent cult's founder was actually running an asylum. The masked man appears and states that if he joins them, he will inform the organization and find a perfect sovereign body for him. Su replies that he has only been in the sect for 6 months and still lacks the qualification. The MC changes the subject and asks where the treasure vault is located, saying they should go there, and the masked man replies that it is right ahead. They continue walking, and the MC observes how that place seems like a hidden paradise, perhaps a secret realm of immortal cultivation. He comments that there are so many treasures that just one of them would be enough to buy an entire country, and the masked man replies that this is only the tip of the iceberg of the descent cult. Protector Long appears, introducing Swixing as a new sect elder who came to choose treasures, and remains there observing. Still at the location, Sue asks whether all of that is truly gold, and the masked man replies that those are merely material goods, explaining that the true treasures of the descent cult are accessories, equipment, ancient books, rare celestial materials, and earthly treasures, stating that the vault is not inferior to Great Xia's national treasury. The MC concludes that Great Xia was not facing only giant beasts, but also a hidden and powerful enemy such as the descent cult, and understands why the defeat they suffered was so tragic. The masked man asks what he is looking for and says he can take him there, and the MC replies that he wishes to see the ancient text section. The masked man then leads him to the location. Sue is surprised upon seeing the number of books, and the masked man tells him not to rush, explaining that if any doubts arise, he can just ask. The MC thanks him while wondering if all those ancient texts truly contain supreme cultivation techniques. While flipping through the section, he notices strange titles and ends up asking about untold stories of elders and the so-called 108 boyfriends. Sue picks up a curious book and reads excerpts about a Taoist Chang Yang who infiltrates the abyss and breaks the record of 100 days with a succubus girlfriend, as well as descriptions about how to practice dual cultivation with an elder of the Joyful Union sect, even while already having a Tao companion. The MC begins to doubt whether immortal cultivation in that dungeon is really something serious, but still decides to keep looking. With the book still in his hands, he thinks it might be nothing more than a simple travel account with a sensationalist title and becomes disappointed, until Sue suddenly stops at a page, visibly surprised. The MC then realizes that it describes a pill condensation method, capable of compressing spiritual energy and integrating it into the golden core, directly raising the quality of the core exactly what he needs. The masked man asks if the medicine elder intends to cultivate immortality, reminding him that profession would be that of a cultivator, but that there is not enough spiritual energy in the world, questioning how that would be possible. The MC explains that cultivation and alchemy are interconnected, that alchemy acts externally while cultivation strengthens the internal, and that even without a real chance of becoming immortal, he wishes to refine increasingly better pills for the sect, making it natural to learn the pill condensation method. The masked man comments that the medicine elder has great ambitions. The MC then asks about the second part of the evergreen technique, saying that he has already completed the first part and obtained enormous benefits. The masked man confirms that it exists, but explains that the final part requires 100,000 contribution points, something he does not yet have. Sue is shocked by the value and comments that Qingxuan had said the first part cost only 1,000 points. The masked man replies that most of the sect's immortal cultivation techniques are in the hands of the fanatic faction, and that those lunatics are as obsessed with cultivation as he is, making the price naturally high. The MC wonders if this obsession means that members of the fanatic faction can also cultivate immortality, and if they would be cultivators like him, but soon concludes that they cannot since the profession panel indicates that he is the only cultivator. If they could also cultivate, there would only be one explanation. They would not be from this world. The masked man then invites him to visit the descent cult section of rare celestial materials and earthly treasures, where ingredients such as 100-year blood ginseng, 50-year yang revitalizing herb, 200-year dragon kite grass, and 500-year Zishan flower appear. Sue wonders whether that treasure vault looted the medicinal garden of an entire sect. The masked man explains that he is the only alchemist in the entire descent cult and therefore the only one capable of using those high-level ingredients. The MC confirms that he can indeed refine many decent pills but lacks ingredients, and the masked man replies that it is not a problem as long as everything is recorded, requiring only that 70% of the refined pills be handed over to the sect. The MC realizes that the descent cult understands almost nothing about alchemy, and that he himself will be able to decide how many pills to produce, feeling that he has gained an enormous opportunity. He then says he will harvest 100 stalks of spiritual herbs and promises to refine 3 new types of pills for the sect within 6 months. The masked man agrees and asks him to accompany him to register with Protector Long. Sue comments that the ancient book has peculiar content, and the masked man replies that he has rather peculiar tastes. When registering the spiritual herbs in the ancient book, Protector Long widens his eyes and comments that if he desires the pill condensation method, then he is a cultivator. The MC denies it, saying his profession is only that of an alchemist. Protector Long insists that he is clearly a golden core stage cultivator, and explains that the greatest value of that ancient book is precisely the pill condensation method, something only someone who knows its true value would be willing to exchange contribution points for. Sue realizes the situation has become delicate and understands that they were careless. Protector Long asks who he is and how he managed to cultivate to the golden core stage in this era of Dharma decline, and the MC realizes that he truly can see his cultivation level. Next, the Protector questions where the spiritual energy resources and spiritual stones came from. The masked man steps forward and says he is mistaken, asking how the medicine elder could be a golden core cultivator, and stating that he does not possess any spiritual stones but ends up being struck, causing the MC to shout his name. Protector Long strangles him without hesitation, and Sue realizes that only extremely powerful cultivators are capable of detecting another cultivator's level. The Protector insists on knowing where the spiritual stones and spiritual energy are, continuing to pressure him, while the system notifies that, inside the Descent Cult's treasure vault, he was subjected to an inner search conducted by Protector Long, and that the simulation system automatically blocked all memories related to the mind simulator. Protector Long's deep reflection lasts more than 10 minutes, and, since the memories were altered, in his eyes, the MC is nothing more than someone extremely lucky who accidentally obtained a small amount of spiritual stones and some immortal cultivation techniques. The MC wonders how he ended up dying even with his memories blocked, and new notifications appear stating that after 10 minutes of deep introspection, he turned into a vegetable. Protector Long becomes irritated upon seeing his stunned and drooling appearance, and crushes him into dust with a single palm strike, finishing him and ending the simulation. The MC awakens filled with fury and curses the Descent Cult, swearing that one day he will destroy that asylum. He reflects that the introspection technique used by Protector Long should be a spell mastered only by cultivators, and if he himself is the only cultivator in this world, then where did that protector come from? Sue asks whether Qing Yunzi was not also a cultivator inside the Qing Yun sect dungeon, and whether Protector Long could be the same type of existence. Jin confirms this assumption, reminding that the sect's treasure vault is not in this world but inside a dungeon. The Elder had said that that spiritual field and blessed land was a small world he himself refined, and if the Descent Cult's vault is similar to Qing Yunzi's legacy, then it is a mission location of some dungeon, making Protector Long an existence similar to Qing Yunzi, a character linked to that type of instance. The demonic beasts that caused humanity's extinction, as well as the sovereign worshipped by the Descent Cult, probably also originate from dungeons, with the difference being that they are able to invade the real world in which he lives. The MC concludes that the Descent Cult is far too terrifying because it not only can contact alien races, but also form alliances with dungeon NPCs, and that he can never become involved with them in the real world since not even 9 lives would be enough to survive. Even so, he recognizes that the Descent Cult is an excellent place to gain experience, and that by mastering the pill condensation method, he will eventually be able to form a high-quality golden core. At that point, challenging a nascent soul ancestor while being in a lower realm will cease to be only a dream. Based on the Elder's information, the final part of the Evergreen technique is probably in the hands of the Fanatic faction, and this time it will be necessary to directly attract the Protector's attention. The system then notifies that, to begin the next simulation, he must draw a blue talent, and Sue comments that the Tarot Club is on the right path and that he will no longer run out of energy points. The system congratulates him for obtaining the blue talent Innate Divine Strength, a gift that greatly surpasses that of ordinary people and grants exceptional talent in physique and body refinement. The MC evaluates that a talent focused on body refinement is not bad at all, because with it, he will not be limited only to the golden core stage and may be able to cultivate on 2 fronts, also reaching the realm of body refinement and viscera integration. In this simulation, he has a clear objective, and together with Wang, he leaves the school and joins the Descent Cult again. Just like last time, the power of the pills shocks Elder Ying, who opens several loopholes and guarantees large quantities of high-quality medicinal ingredients. This allows him to quickly refine several superior pills and prepare to ingest once again the viscera integration pills that had already caused him to explode countless times in the past. But now, with innate divine strength, he feels no fear. Sue warns that the medicinal potential of those pills is absurd, while the MC feels his strength surge, a surreal energy enveloping his body, and describes the sensation as if his internal organs were burning and every cell were breaking apart and rebuilding at the same time. The MC remains in that state for 7 entire days. Sue, inside the water, observes his own body and comments that the flames have finally disappeared, until he notices something strange and asks what that is, clearly feeling that his internal organs are much more resilient than before and that his muscles have grown noticeably. Even so, he concludes that it is not enough and that he needs to make maximum use of the Descent Cult's resources to advance directly to the realm of viscera integration. Another week passes, and the liver, heart, spleen, lungs, kidneys, and all the other organs in the MC's body seem to gain a life of their own, breathing freely and powerfully, until one day he feels an unprecedented vitality explode within him and realizes that his strength has multiplied several times, confirming that Su has reached the viscera integration realm. The MC opens a can and comments that upon reaching this level, the maximum limit of the golden core has already been left behind, and that in this simulation he needs to obtain the final part of the evergreen technique at all costs. After breaking through this barrier, his strength grows even more, finally attracting the attention of members from other factions, including Protector Zong from the Fanatic faction. The hooded man asks him to refine some healing pills for them, while Su reflects that if he proposes a direct exchange for the final part of the evergreen technique, he might be exposed as a cultivator and have his soul examined again. Ying states that the medicine elder is their ally and questions whether they should not consult him before requesting anything. And the MC realizes that with Ying present, he cannot simply lean toward Protector Zong's side because the Fanatic faction would never believe in his loyalty. The matter of obtaining the evergreen technique reaches a stalemate until a voice asks whether Protector Zong has been finished, and Ying coldly replies that he died in battle. The MC asks about the belongings left behind, such as cultivation techniques, and comments that it matters little and observes that he never even got to see Ying's true appearance. When questioned, Ying removes the hood and mask, revealing her true identity, making the MC comment that the supposed eunuch is actually extremely beautiful. Ying then tells him to follow her to the Sovereign's world, explaining that the Sovereign will descend in 1 month and that all humanity will be annihilated, leaving only one way to survive: to become part of the Sovereign. Su immediately refuses, stating that he does not want to transform into a monster that is neither human nor ghost, and that he only wants to continue being human. On September 23rd of the year 2037 of the New Era, during the Mid-Autumn Festival, shortly after he rejects the Elder's proposal, a colossal beast that obscures the skies appears and devours the entire Great Xia nation in a single gulp. The system notifies that he lost his life at 37 years old, ending the simulation. The MC reflects that the Elder was actually a woman, and that the apocalypse arrived even earlier, clearly connected to the descent cult, and then chooses innate divine strength and early-stage viscera integration cultivation as rewards. He concludes that this world is extremely dangerous, and that before anything else, he must focus on increasing his own strength, practically feeling the power of the viscera integration realm, while his heart beats with increasing intensity and energy escapes through his eyes and mouth. Su comments that this sensation is exciting and asks whether this is already the 9th level of viscera integration, observing that there is still one final step before the nascent soul realm, and suggests finding a place to test the current strength. As expected from Kyoto Academy, a strength training machine valued at millions is available free of charge for students. A grand gesture, and some people wonder why Suixing is there, and whether he also came to test his strength, while others comment that his profession is known as useless, and question whether he found a way to cultivate. The MC notices that many people there know him and decides not to reveal his true strength at that moment. In another location, he calmly drinks something and thinks that he is finally prepared until he hears someone asking where Swixing is, and a girl responds that she does not know, saying that he was there just a moment ago and telling them to search quickly. Voices ask what is happening, and when Su approaches, everyone becomes impressed. The MC thinks that he took the wrong pill, the disguise one instead of the beauty one, but concludes that as long as he can hide his face, it is fine. They then announce the beginning of the test with gold level. The MC clenches his fist and throws a punch, releasing the accumulated power, while someone asks whether that strength training machine is really gold level and comments that it does not look very sturdy, until they realize that he pierced through the gold level strength training machine with a single punch, which is equivalent to a strength of 100 tons. A girl observes in surprise and comments that that senior looks strange, asking whether he just advanced to master level and came there only to cause trouble. Su continues training and concludes that if even gold level equipment cannot withstand his strength, then the next step is to test master level. The MC clenches his fist again, a terrifying aura spreads around his body. He throws a heavy punch at the training dummy, causing a violent impact, and the people around, still in shock, begin to ask whether not even master-level training equipment can withstand that blow and whether the machines at that place will be enough for him to continue testing without causing destruction. The MC thinks that it is school property and wonders whether, by breaking everything with a punch, he will have to pay, mentally calculating that if the school considers a 10% depreciation, he might still be able to afford the cost. Voices around comment that the strength of that punch reached 150,000 kilograms, a value that only a Zongxi-level professional specialized in strength can achieve. Su asks whether the equipment really did not break and says the measurement might be inaccurate, suggesting testing a few more times. The MC begins punching non-stop, realizing that a punch with that power can be delivered repeatedly without difficulty, finding it incredible and concluding that the numbers are probably correct since his current strength is approximately at Zongxi level. He walks away calmly while a boy comments whether that famous senior just used some kind of strength-enhancing skill. A girl rebuts by saying that the training device is not an enemy and questions why he would use a skill there, stating that that powerful person must have just broken through a barrier and came only to test his own strength. The boy then comments that, in other words, another Zongxi-level specialist has appeared in the school, and the girl suggests quickly recording a video and posting it on the Academy forum, asking who that great god is. Later, near the mountains, the MC wipes himself and realizes that the effect of the disguise pill has worn off, making him return to his normal appearance, and then begins to reflect that something is not right. When he was at the great perfection of the bone-forging realm, his strength already exceeded 200,000, and now, at the 9th level of the Viscera integration realm, his strength was only slightly above that, leading him to question whether the true power of this realm does not lie in brute strength, but in something else. He recalls that the first realm of body refinement is the body refinement realm, also called the meridian opening realm, responsible for establishing a solid foundation, nourishing the body, and providing initial increases in strength and endurance. The second realm is bone strength, which strengthens bones and flesh, bringing a significant increase in power. And the third realm is viscera integration, focused on strengthening the internal organs, functioning similarly to internal cultivation techniques in martial arts novels, enhancing internal energy. Su comments that strengthening the heart drastically increases sustained combat capability, because before he would be exhausted after 1 hour of fighting, while now he can fight for 3 or 4 hours. Strengthening the kidneys, linked to the water element, allows storing essence and absorbing qi, something crucial for body refinement practitioners, since essence, qi, and spirit are fundamental to maintaining bodily balance. Strengthening the spleen, responsible for plasma production, ensures that the body's vitality is continuously enhanced, allowing constant growth of strength. In this way, the viscera integration realm seems more like a transitional realm, connecting past and future and consolidating the self. And perhaps only in the fourth realm, the nascent soul, does a truly explosive transformation in terms of strength occur. The MC thinks that he needs to find a way to verify this guess until he notices something. Jin appears asking whether she is his secretary and whether he should not be taking care of the affairs of the Merchant Association, collecting equipment, instead of only trying to reach the heavens. The MC realizes that he has just found a way to test his theory. Su remembers the two of them clinging to each other before and thinks that if the guess is correct, then his persistence should work. Kongzue asks whether they should not discuss the matter of the Tarot Club, and the MC replies that they should take a short break, reflecting that he will probably need to reach the final stage of the Viscera integration realm to deal with that woman. He decides that this time, in the simulation, he will directly join the Fanatic faction to obtain the final part of the Evergreen technique. The system then congratulates him for obtaining a blue talent, Beast Language Level 10, granting the ability to understand the language of all beast spirits and animals. The MC comments that this talent seems quite interesting and, in the spiritual field and blessed land, clearly realizes that he is inside a simulation. While Su is preparing to refine the pills, several unknown voices suddenly appear in his ears, leaving him confused as he tries to locate the source. The MC finds it strange, because he should be the only one present in that spiritual field and blessed land, and wonders where those unknown figures came from. After investigating, he discovers that the voices belong to the spiritual chickens themselves, which begin to complain, asking whether he really dares to keep those insects only for himself, whether he is not afraid of retaliation from Brother Chicken, and begin to talk about equality among chickens, questioning why they were born inferior to the others. Su asks whether that is the effect of level 10 beast language, while the birds become agitated, saying that they will follow the eldest brother and that they cannot be less courageous than him, determined to challenge Brother Chicken to a one-on-one duel. The MC, completely confused, asks who this so-called Brother Chicken is, and soon a chicken appears outside, staring at them and asking whether those two weaklings are really trying to challenge him for the position he holds. One of the birds responds that it is exactly that, proclaiming equality among chickens and responsibility toward chickens, and the older chicken reacts coldly, saying that he will then show his own power. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new content. Thank you.